is Hill House. Local townsfolk fear the abandoned structure, having grown up with stories of its original owner, Hugh Crane's madness, and the disappearance of children who worked in his mills. DuBont selected Harlexton Manor in Lincolnshire, England for the exteriors of Hill House. But it was the dark vision of Academy Award-winning production designer Eugenio Zanetti that gave birth to an environment inspiring awe and fear.
Fears came from my childhood, so I have to refer to my own fears, my own memories.
My first impression was reverence. And then I think it affected me on an unconscious level, the sets. And I think creating a feeling of isolation and feeling engulfed by a big space and feeling very small within it.
Hill House is more than the haunting's location. It's the movie's central character with a mind of its own. Zanetti worked closely with special effects supervisor John Fraser to incorporate extensive special effects rigging into the sets, which would enable Hill House to carry out its demonic plans. The most challenging sequence for Fraser centers on a 50-foot-high double helix staircase, something that had only existed in the mind of DuBont.
So the art department came up with some designs, and they came up with this concept of something that had never been built before by any professional staircase company or anything.
In the movie, Lily Taylor's character, Nell, is about to jump from the top. Dr. Morrow attempts to save her, but the house is determined to stop him. To make the staircase appear extra precarious, Fraser designed it to hang so it would sway and shake. The 3,000-pound structure is held up by aircraft cable.
And then we made a special device that would cut that cable on cue. What we'll do is we'll run the cable through this slot right here. We'll put an explosive charge inside the canister. This guillotine, made out of hard chromium steel, will propel itself and will shear the cable.
Fraser has rigged the staircase with 150 cable cutters.
3, 2, 1, action!
A stuntman is used for a few of the most dangerous shots, but 90% of the sequence will be performed by Neeson.
The unfortunate thing is that Liam is afraid of heights, which he told me the day before shooting, and I said, oh my God. I had to really almost kind of walk him through it. I was holding his hand, which was kind of insane because I'm afraid of heights too.
During the 4 days of photography, Neeson worked his way higher and higher up the collapsing staircase.
Terrifying. Doesn't need embellishing, just terrifying.
Reach out for his hand. And another look up. Start coming up. And try to start standing up if you can, Liam.
While the physical effects and eerie sets provided many of the movie's chills, some of the scariest moments would require digital intervention. DuBont turned to visual effects supervisor Phil Tippett, known for his frightening creatures in Starship Troopers and Jurassic Park.
It's one thing if you have a space bug or a dinosaur, but for something like The Haunting, where the spectral events or the ghosts had to slowly manifest through kind of a range of extreme subtlety in the beginning and then build and build and build, it was really tricky figuring out on a subjective level what constitutes a frightening image for people.
In a pivotal scene, Nell is beckoned by the spirit of a child murdered by Hugh Crane. The digital artists at Tippett Studio utilize a software program called Dynamation. to animate the ghost child as it moves through a computer-generated curtain and bed sheets. Weeks earlier, Lily Taylor had to perform her part opposite a character she couldn't see.
It's belief and imagination. There were certain takes where I just didn't see it, and I would tell you, and I said, I just didn't see it at all. Let's go again, and we would.
In 1963, it was movie audiences who saw few spectral events in the original version of The Haunting.
Whose hand was I holding?
Long before the advent of digital effects, director Robert Wise had to create maximum fear in more subtle ways.
I always believe that the greatest fear that people have is fear of the unknown. What's that noise back there? What's that? What's that back there in the shadow? Things that you know you can deal with. But the unknown, the unseen, the unheard, you don't know how to deal with it.
The movie, in fact, had only one special effects shot.
Thing, whatever it is out there trying to get through the door, and the door is locked. What we did was have it made of laminated wood so it could give. And on the other side of the door was a 2x4, and it had a big grip there named Joe. And every time I wanted the door to bulge, when I said, "Okay, Joe," and he'd just push like that, and then they'll just give like that. That simple.
Perhaps the most frightening tool employed by Wise was The Haunting's chilling sound effects.
But I felt that these sound effects were so terribly important. So I went out and made a lot of sound effects and put on a playback machine, so every time the girls had to react to what was outside the door, I turned the playback machine on, so they were reacting to something very literal.
36 years later, as he updates The Haunting for a new generation, director Jan de Bont is motivating his cast with the same technique. Sound designer Gary Rydstrom gave Hill House its own chilling voice.
It's really about what frightens us, and whether those things that we hear in the middle of the night, we hear them in our own houses. Imagine what you would hear if you were sleeping in this house.
Might as well get down to it. Thank you, Mary.
And children's distant laughter, that is, for me, one of the freakiest things I always think is, as wonderful it is to see children play in a playground, to put it into a film where there's just a distant laugh or cry of a child becomes very eerie, and it kind of chills me.
Throughout the film, we become more and more aware of Hugh Crane's demonic spirit, and that he is targeting Nell. Crane will finally reveal himself in full horror as he possesses her bedroom. To achieve this scene, Zanetti designed the set so it would actually close in on Nell.
That's why I adopted an octagonal room, and from the octagonal idea came the Gothic, because this florid Gothic, these palmettos, are the only way in which the corners of the room can come to you. If you use a square room, it's impossible for the room to come.
I had the actual bed coming down. That was a very difficult scene. That took 8 days to film. It was about 120 setups. I had no energy left after that scene.
Almost like, don't have a stick, keep it one point, keep moving around. All the things in
Taylor discovered that portraying fear day after day went beyond acting.
It's real to your cells, it's real to your body. It affects the sympathetic nervous system. I know I would have to get adjusted with chiropractor because my body went out of alignment.
Action!
Once filming was completed, the bedroom scene was turned over to Tippett Studio.
We picked up with the computer graphic ceiling. Half the room at one point was reproduced digitally so that we could get the correct timings and performance nuances of bits of furniture being thrown across the room, pictures popping off the walls, the walls ripping open, the floor boards ripping open by some sort of unseen force, and ultimately a face coming out of the ceiling.
That face belongs to Hugh Crane, the original owner of Hill House. To achieve the effect, a plaster sculpture of Crane's head was laser scanned, capturing data that could be turned into a computer graphics model. Crane's face was then animated to push through the digital ceiling boards and plaster in a violent attack on Nell. in his quest to take the audience on a terrifying ride, Jan de Bont has pushed the limits of every aspect of filmmaking, all to scare one young woman and those observing in a darkened theater.
Turn and look out. Then down.
Coming up, the master of suspense directs his most disturbing movie. And Winona Ryder and Gregory Peck face a common enemy.
Ultimate Special Effects is sponsored in part by Pentax Corporation. Aren't your pictures worth a Pentax? And by KBKids.com. We get toys.
We're on a deadly snake hunt today with my Pentax IQ Zoom 160. Pentax has the longest compact zooms in the world, so I can keep a safe distance away and still get a tight shot. Oh, too close. You're a little bit grumpy. I could die taking this picture, but my Pentax is impervious to the bite. Oh, now there's a gorgeous girl. Aren't your pictures worth a Pentax?
The toy store favored by families for generations has inspired KBKids.com with thousands of toys, from hard-to-find learning toys to the hot toys kids just gotta have.
Look at that. Cool.
KBKids.com. We get toys as well as any grown-ups can.
Cool.
KBKids.com. We get toys. Order now and you'll get shipping absolutely free.
How do you eat these new Chili's lettuce wrap appetizers?
Just pick up the lettuce, add grilled Asian spiced chicken and sauce, fold and eat.
That sounds great.
Doesn't it, though?
Hi, I'm Pat Seashore, and I'm an engineer for Mercury. That's Scott, my husband.
She comes up to about here on me.
He's 6'1", and he's also very large. So he sits in a car a lot differently than I do. For the new 2000 Mercury Sable, we put adjustable foot pedals in the car. The pedals work by coming toward the driver 3 inches and down about a half an inch. I can sit further back, be more comfortable. Nowadays, we have a lot of freedom at Mercury to look for new ideas and make them happen.
Being a couch potato just wouldn't be the same without the television. One of the 100 greatest achievements of the 20th century. Check out TLC for Countdown 100, starting Sunday at 9.
I guess it was about a year ago something really different happened to me. The inventor of this machine, the Torso Track, asked me to give him 1 minute of my time. I did, and for 1 minute I did this exercise. I could have done more, but he said that's enough. Well, the next morning when I woke up, my stomach burned, my abs burned, my chest, obliques, and my back. I felt like I'd spent hours at the gym. I knew I had to have one of these machines. Well, it has been a year now with my Torso Track, and I just want to say I'm in the best shape of my life. It doesn't matter if you're just starting to work out or if you're Frank Zane, 3-time Mr. Universe. Torso Track will adjust to your fitness level. Now, how about giving me a minute of your time? Call and we'll send you a Torso Track to try, risk-free.
Call now and we'll send you a Torso Track to try in your own home, risk-free. If you decide to keep it, we'll give you up to a year to pay, interest-free. Call 1-800-298-4965. That's 1-800-298-4965.
Good afternoon. Here we have a quiet little motel, tucked away off the main highway, and as you see, perfectly harmless looking, when in fact, it has now become known as the scene of the crime.
While scary movies go back to the earliest days of cinema, Alfred Hitchcock's films achieved a new level of artistry and appeal. In 1960, he packed theaters with a promise to deliver maximum fear in Psycho.
In that window on the second floor, the single one in front, that's where the woman was first seen. Let's go inside.
Hitchcock was a master at taking something that didn't used to be threatening and making it threatening.
After 25 years of studying horror films, Dr. Joanne Cantor has become the premier expert on the psychological effect of scary movies.
Many horror movies change people's lives. One of the great examples is Psycho. So many people have trouble showering after they see Psycho. They may have only seen Psycho once, and yet the experience of showering is never the same.
Of course, the victim, or should I say victims, hadn't any conception as to the type of people they would be confronted with in this house, especially the woman. She was the weirdest and the most... Well, let's go into her bedroom.
Some critics accused Hitchcock of making his movies too scary.
They're coming! They're coming!
That viewing them could lead to violent acts. He responded in a rare 1965 interview.
People often complain about the effect of films on certain minds, but they generalize about this. I have to ask them, what minds does it affect? When Psycho was made, a man was arrested for murder in Los Angeles, and he had confessed to killing 3 women. The last murder he committed, he said, was influenced by the fact that he had just seen Psycho. So naturally the newspapers got onto me and asked for my comment. And I said, what film did he see when he murdered the second woman? And am I to assume that when he murdered the first woman, he had just finished drinking a glass of milk?
12 years after Psycho, Hitchcock returned to his homicidal ways with Frenzy. The story of a serial killer rapist who terrorizes London is one of Hitchcock's scariest and most graphic films.
Who is it? Perhaps you can tell us.
Hitchcock filmed Frenzy on locations throughout London. The 73-year-old director had slowed down physically, but not mentally.
He should turn and look out.
Catch and look around.
Down.
Frenzy's cinematographer was Gilbert Taylor, who first worked with Hitchcock as a camera assistant in 1931 on the thriller Number 17. He remembers the 32-year-old director vividly.
He was a very active man. I was very conscious of the fact that he was a bit of a joker and was playing sort of funny, strange tricks all the time, like putting X-lax in coffee to make people's bowels work. And he had another habit of, if a VIP came on the floor and wore a rather lovely Italian tie, he was an expert of getting all the lights out in the studio and cutting it off at the base.
Taylor and the other camera assistants, wanting to play Hitchcock's own trick on him, invited the director into the darkroom.
I was round the corner and I cut his tie off. And he was absolutely livid about that, and he said he'd fire whoever did it. When I was offered Frenzy, I said, do you remember when somebody cut your tie off? And he said, yes, I do remember, and I never discovered who. I said, well, I happen to tell you, I did it. And so, do you still want to employ me? And he said, well, of course I would. And then we became, it seemed to cement us together.
It's ironic that the vicious killer in Frenzy strangles his victims with a necktie. In the movie's opening scene, filmed on an embankment overlooking the River Thames, a government official boasts about the success of a recent river cleanup program.
Hey, welcome back those water creatures that so delighted us as children. The tadpole, the crested newt.
Only to be interrupted when horrified onlookers spot a body floating in the river.
It's a woman. She doesn't say anything. No, I told her. And Colin?
Working alongside Hitchcock was assistant director Colin Brewer.
He used to draw up these little sheets at night with frames on them, and then he'd draw little figures in them and say, that's what I'm shooting tomorrow, and tell me what lens they were, etc. So we all knew exactly what we were doing.
One of the movie's most disturbing scenes comes after the killer has dumped his latest victim's body into a truck filled with potatoes, only to realize his tie tack is missing. A gruesome search for the body ensues. The shots inside the truck were filmed on a stage at London's Pinewood Studios. A stickler for realism, Hitchcock insisted that an actress play the body stuffed into one of the potato bags.
Hitchcock didn't like anything phony. He liked everything real and properly done, you know. Wouldn't go for a dummy.
Taylor positioned 2 rotating lights above the truck, simulating passing overhead street lamps.
And these were sort of coming over the top of the canvas like that, so you're going through, so that, and the engine noise gave the impression that you were moving.
In the final film, Hitchcock lets the scene, which was merely a brief description in the script, play for more than 5 minutes.
You know, that was Hitchcock. If he was working, and if an actor was performing, he'd go along with it.
And you'd be waiting for the cut and it wouldn't come. You might not realise until the film was edited together, and then you get the message.
Alfred Hitchcock said he loved making scary movies because he could play the audience's emotions like a piano.
I said to him, are you ever going to do any other sort of pictures, Hitch, you know? Why don't you do something where there isn't any murder? He said, Colin, if I did a musical, he said they'd expect the showgirls to get shot in the first scene.
Well, they cleaned all this up now. Big difference. You should have seen the blood. The whole place was, well, it's too horrible to describe. Dreadful. And I'll tell you, there's a very important clue was found here. Down there. Well, the murderer, you see, crept in here very slowly. Of course, the shower was on, there was no sound. And,
Hollywood looks Satan in the eye. And the unseen horror of the Blair Witch.
Oh my God, what a cat!
Charlotte, where are you? The meeting started.
The world doesn't stop for the flu, but you do. Did you know there's something you can do for the coughing, fever, chills, the body aches that can make you miserable for weeks? Your doctor could prescribe a pill that attacks the flu virus itself, not just the symptoms. As soon as flu symptoms start, call your doctor for information about prescription pills with the power to beat the flu faster, so you can feel better faster.
Log on to dsports.com, the ultimate online sporting goods store. dsports.com. Seize the D.
Don't you hate the phrase, assembly required? Then try Chili's Sirloin Stack. It's a tender seasoned sirloin, sauteed onions, and grilled peppers all put together for a bold new taste. Chili's Sirloin Stack. Let's eat.
Not the DVD player.
All right, I've had a big night. We can work this out. Château Saint-Pierre-Valjean, 1960.
What else you got?
Diamond-encrusted platinum cigarette case.
Where'd you steal that?
9C.
The Abernathy's, it's fake. What are you driving?
The yellow Lamborghini on the corner.
You should go.
Rare stamps?
Get out.
Sony DVD, your most prized possession. Part of the Sony home entertainment universe.
Hi, I'm Pat Seashore, and I'm an engineer for Mercury. That's Scott, my husband.
She comes up to about here on me.
He's 6'1", and he's also very large. So he sits in a car a lot differently than I do. For the new 2000 Mercury Sable, we put adjustable foot pedals in the car. The pedals work by coming toward the driver 3 inches and down about a half an inch. I can sit further back and be more comfortable. Nowadays, we have a lot of freedom at Mercury to look for new ideas and make them happen.
Monday night on Paramedics, Portland's EMS confronts a mysterious seizure.
Just really moving a lot. Yeah, just relax.
A trapped crash victim.
Right now, we got to get you out of this seat and onto that board.
And a man fighting to hold on.
How's his heart rate doing over there, guys?
With lives on the line, every decision is critical.
We're gonna have to shock him.
Meet the men and women who thrive on the rush of risk and rescue. It's non-stop action on an all-new Paramedics, Monday at 8 on TLC.
Somewhere between science and superstition, there is another world. The world of darkness.
In my studies, The Exorcist always comes up again and again. The fear of the supernatural is really a universal fear. There seems to be this fear in all cultures. Otherwise, you wouldn't have this worldwide success for a movie of this sort.
It was legendary makeup artist Dick Smith's transformation of 12-year-old Linda Blair that made The Exorcist's horrifying premise believable. Smith spent several weeks testing and refining Blair's makeup. And he invented new techniques, like concealing air bladders under latex facial appliances. And crafting a hidden mouthpiece through which pea soup could be pumped.
The one hope. The only hope. The Exorcist.
3 years after The Exorcist, another battle with Satan became a horror classic, forever imprinting the number 666 on our collective psyche. Harvey Bernhardt, producer of The Omen, is still amazed at the extent of the movie's impact.
More people read the Bible from this motion picture than have ever read it before. They were looking for the 3 6s in the book of Revelations.
The Omen is the story of Ambassador Richard Thorne, played by Gregory Peck, whose adopted son Damien turns out to be the Antichrist. Director Richard Donner called on special effects expert John Richardson to stage the film's grisly decapitation caused by falling glass.
I had this idea of, instead of dropping the glass from a crane, because as soon as you see the glass fall from the crane, you know pretty well what's going to happen. So we put it on a truck. And the truck runs away and hits an obstacle and the glass slides off. It will probably catch the audience a little more by surprise, and it's a really good way to slice somebody's head off.
Richardson rigged a bungee device to launch the glass straight at a dummy of the actor that was pre-cut at the neck.
Dick Donner said it the best. When the people buried their heads, but it's so horrible, and they lift their heads, the head will still be rolling.
One of the Omen's scariest elements are the demon dogs that protect young Damien. The filmmakers hired trainer Joan Blackmore, who had a fondness for a breed of large, powerful dogs that was hardly known at that time. Rottweilers.
Oh, steady! Burnt, calm. Ah, steady, steady. Burnt, calm. Calm, calm. Steady, steady. Calm, steady.
Blackmore, who has trained hundreds of Rottweilers, insists that their menacing screen presence is nothing but good acting.
The Rottweiler is a very calm, controllable dog. You can switch him on and off like a tap. You can say, here's Mr. Pussycat, and everyone's sitting fussing him. Then you can say, okay, Mr. Pussycat, do a bit of shouting and roaring and leaping up and down, and he does.
Watch.
In the terrifying graveyard scene, the Rottweiler's pussycat personality was nowhere to be seen.
The sequence in the graveyard was amazing because the pack of dogs, they went nuts. They were almost uncontrollable. It all lent to the credibility of the devil and the boy.
Now the devil returns to theaters, targeting Winona Ryder, who plays seminary student Maya Larkin. Lost Souls is directed by Janusz Kaminski, the famed cinematographer who won Academy Awards for Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan.
It's a story about a man who's going to be possessed by a devil on the day of his 33rd birthday, and a woman who believes that there is a evil with capital E. If you believe in this movie, you will get scared, you will be disturbed, you will perhaps try to re-examine the whole issue of devil and believing in it.
The biggest effects challenge in the movie comes when Maya enters a public bathroom.
The bathroom sequence is pivotal because it sets the character. It establishes certain unpredictability of the character. It allows the viewers to think that perhaps she's not right, that perhaps she is mentally deranged.
At first, the bathroom appears to be normal, but then Maya is overtaken by the sense of evil surrounding her. The manifestations of that evil were carried out by special effects supervisor Clay Penny.
Square that off nice and square, Nick.
Janusz wanted the toilets to overflow, so we plumbed in a manifold system that we could control, the speed and volume of that.
Kaminski filmed the entire scene twice, once in the original bathroom, and then again on a dirty version of the set, using a motion control camera to precisely duplicate shots.
Surfaces more.
Next, visual effects company Cinesight Digital scanned the film into their computers in order to create an eerie transition from the clean to the dirty bathroom.
Those steps going to kind of fill in between. And
it began as almost like a organic plant-like structure that sprouted branches and could grow across the floor and up the walls and through the windows and the mirrors.
Cinesight also added digital elements based on Ryder's improvisational performance on set.
So, for example, as Winona is backing away from the water, she looks up and she looks down and she jumps.
What we did then, in post, was follow the cues that she had created from some of her quick, reactions of looking around the room. We were able to follow those by having a big chunk of plaster fall out of the ceiling right in front of her as she backs up.
Maya's fear intensifies when a man emerges from one of the stalls.
He comes over to her, knife in hand, and in what was a really scary shot for me, he's holding this knife right at her face, goes right up to her eye. We were able to shoot that in 2 passes. The first one, of course, was getting a close-up of Winona's eye. Then we shot a large knife with a special lens.
As a final touch, Cinesight added the actor's reflection in Winona's eye. By blending digital and physical effects, Janusz Kaminski has produced a sequence that vividly portrays evil with a capital E. Still ahead, monsters born to kill, and the horrific consequences of meeting up with them.
In creating the new KBKids.com, we went to the experts. They know what's hot. Now you can too. They know exactly what's right for them. You can too. In fact, with KBKids.com, you can be almost as smart about toys as they are.
Daddy, come on!
Only hopefully a lot neater. KBKids.com. We can get toys. Buy a PlayStation or Nintendo 64, and you get a free game.
Chili's technical support. How would you eat these new Chili's lettuce wrap appetizers?
Just pick up the lettuce, add grilled Asian spiced chicken and sauce, fold and eat.
That sounds great.
Doesn't it, though?
We're on a wild crocodile hunt today with my Pentax IQ Zoom 105 WR. Whoa, here she comes. This mate's not afraid of croc-infested waters. Steady, mate. Oh, whoa, crikey. No worries if you drop her in the mud, just rinse her off. Zooming in for a beauty shot now. Oh, that's a pretty smile. Aren't your pictures worth a Pentax?
Hi, I'm Pat Seashore, and I'm an engineer for Mercury. That's Scott, my husband.
She comes up to about here on me.
He's 6'1", and he's also very large. So he sits in a car a lot differently than I do. For the new 2000 Mercury Sable, we put adjustable foot pedals in the car. The pedals work by coming toward the driver 3 inches and down about a ½ inch. I can sit further back and be more comfortable. Nowadays, we have a lot of freedom at Mercury to look for new ideas and make them happen.
TLC goes to Hollywood.
We'll check out my favorite Hollywood locations.
The glitz.
I can talk to gang members and winos.
The glamour.
You're under arrest.
The stars.
This was a talk show I'd be bombing right now, wouldn't I?
What a great place to be a cop.
We're here to take care of business, man. If we gotta kick the door and we kick it in, okay?
TLC patrols the streets with the men and women that keep the peace in Tinseltown.
Los Angeles Police Department, the house is surrounded. Come out with your hands up.
Hollywood Cops, Monday beginning at 9 on TLC.
Witness the power of the tarot.
Well, he's older. Old enough to be your father?
He's 48, and I'm 25.
Is he your teacher?
You're incredible. My husband is driving me crazy.
I see the devil card. He wants to dominate you like he's your king.
Exactly.
He tells you how to dress, how to talk, where you can go.
Yes. Wow. You're describing the situation perfectly.
I see the Empress. Is someone pregnant?
Wow, I wasn't going to tell you that,
But it's not your current girlfriend, is it?
No, it's not. It's my ex-girlfriend. This is amazing.
The King of Cups card shows a very faithful man, one who loves you deeply, by the way.
Well, I found out he's had about 10 times the number of past lovers that I've had.
Look, his past history is just that, history. Now all he wants is you.
Caution. A tarot card reading may be very personal and intense. Be prepared for amazing revelations. Call for your free tarot reading now.
Call 1-800-994-4557.
It's fun to sit in a movie theater and watch a film and see people react to a specific effect that you've done. My goal always is I want people to jump out of their seats.
Greg Nicotero of K&B Effects Group breathes life into creatures you never want to run into in the dark.
There are certain visual images that automatically provoke fear. Monsters are a very interesting example. This automatic reaction in our brain to distortions of natural form goes off. And movies tap into this. Filmmakers are much more powerful than they even know.
In 1996, Nicotero teamed up with director Robert Rodriguez on the vampire extravaganza From Dusk Till Dawn.
Background action! Action! Stop spread.
Now Rodriguez is telling the story of terrifying aliens that inhabit the bodies of their victims at a small-town high school in The Faculty. Nicotero's job is to create the alien queen, who finally reveals herself at the end of the movie.
The difficulty in designing a scary monster is you're trying to design something for a mass audience, and every single person has a different perception of what is scary. The real trick is finding something that is universal enough to appeal to everyone's psyche.
What Nicotero and the KNB team have come up with is a squid-like monster, first revealed in a transformation that combines footage of the actress and computer-generated tentacles. The creature evolves into the first of KNB's puppets.
Robert wanted to keep the feel of her body, so the monster is sort of curvaceous, and you can catch a hint of a female form in there.
Open the mouth, guys, and lunge forward!
Then as the kids run out of the gymnasium, the creature follows them, jumps into the pool, and at that point transforms into its final version of itself.
On set, 8 puppeteers animated the creature's tentacles, with performer Jake McKinnon inside the monster suit.
We put a platform in the swimming pool, and on action, Jake would raise up, and we had all of our guys operating the tentacles.
Okay, that's good, Jake. That's good on your second position.
In the final sequence, the monster pursues the movie's hero, played by Elijah Wood, back into the gym and under the bleachers. For this, KNB built a 14-foot-tall, hydraulically operated creature mounted on a modified ATV.
It didn't drive very fast because you had a 2,000-pound mechanism with an actor running in front of it, and the last thing you want to do is really have it run over the actor.
One of the most gruesome shots occurs when the monster spits out its lethal worms, which burrow deep into Elijah's face. KNB designed a tracking system for the worms, which was then covered by silicone prosthetics adhered to the actor's face.
Got it.
Excellent.
Greg Nicotero spends his life creating monsters that provoke maximum fear. So what is he afraid of?
The main thing that I'm afraid of is spiders. Can't stand spiders. So we've done a couple different spider movies. We did the tarantula for Jungle to Jungle, and Jules Sylvester, who's the animal wrangler, brought in some big African bird-eating spiders. We're shooting video of them running around. If you watch the video, you can hear me in the background screaming because I was so terrified to even get close to them.
Okay.
Nicotero isn't the only one in Hollywood who recognizes that Mother Nature has some scary children of her own. Audiences have screamed over grizzlies, snakes, and now the world's largest lizard. In Komodo, a small group of people are trapped on an island inhabited by very hungry 15-foot-long Komodo dragons.
Alright, here we go.
Shot in Australia, the movie marks the directorial debut of Michael Lantieri, one of Hollywood's most respected special effects artists, who won an Oscar for his work on Jurassic Park.
So, I would say with that we should do the same thing.
Komodo dragons actually predate dinosaurs, and several hundred of the huge reptiles still exist on Komodo Island off Indonesia. At least 2 tourists to the island have been killed by Komodos when they ventured a little too close.
The Komodo dragon is basically a giant lizard that eats meat to stay alive. They are highly toxic in terms of their saliva and the drool, and so once they bite you, they just infect you, and you slowly die till you come to a point where you're not moving, and then they eat you alive.
To bring his Komodos to life, Lantieri went to longtime friend Phil Tippett. Having also won an Oscar for Jurassic Park, Tippett knows there's something inherently scary about lizards.
It's some kind of a primordial, image, I think, a prehistoric image, the fear factor that I think is innate within us, that we've carried with us for millions of years of having been preyed upon. That is our heritage. And we spend more time running from things and being their food than we have, as cosmopolitan, social creatures.
You can't really see the teeth in mouth.
Visual effects supervisor Thomas Shalesny oversaw the design of both the look and behavior of the digital Komodos.
Like this, where they're kind of walking like this. We brought in 2 7-foot water monitors into the studio, and let the animators and the technical directors and the compositors all have an opportunity to see, touch, and interact with these creatures. The water monitors look very much like Komodo dragons. You know, the difference is that the monitor won't try and eat you for lunch.
Lantieri's plan is to utilize a combination of computer-generated, or CG, Komodos and animatronic puppets built by John Cox Creature Workshop in Queensland, Australia. Lantieri knows the key to scaring the audience is the element of surprise, which he employs in a sequence where the central character believes he's being pursued by a Komodo.
Patrick running here through the grass, we want to make sure the audience feels like they're running with him.
Mom! Dad! Dad!
When Patrick sits down and he finally puts his hands over his face, he drops them, you hear the door open, and what do you see? You see his dog, which kind of gives everybody this sense of warmth and comfort, and everybody kind of just lets down their guard. And that's when you have to hit him.
The shot was accomplished on set with a Komodo head on a powerful pneumatic ram and a stunt double for the dog. Many of the movie's other sequences require cutting seamlessly between animatronic and CG Komodos.
Two of the characters run out to their car, jump inside, and they try to make an escape. And the Komodo's rising up. You can see it in the rearview mirror. That's a hand puppet. When it bursts through, we're switching then to the full-size hydraulic head. The Komodos that are walking up behind the car as they're escaping, those are all computer-generated Komodos. And then the Komodo that's thrashing around the car is a 14-foot robot. And then where you see the Komodo hanging out in the back of the car, thrashing back and forth. And we've gone back to computer element again.
In the end, all the technology and artistry are for one purpose: inducing maximum fear in the minds of the audience.
I think the biggest thing in a scary movie is that people scare themselves. I think you have to get them started, and then you have to let them do the rest of the work.
My hope is that some kids will come out of the theater and ask their parents, do Komodo dragons really exist? And their parents will have to look them in the eye before they tuck them into bed and go, yeah, they do. I'm sorry. Sleep well.
Heather reveals the story behind her Blair Witch confession next.
I'm so scared. Ultimate Special Effects is sponsored in part by Sony Vaio computers and digital Handycam camcorders, and by Chili's new lettuce wraps, Asian spiced chicken wrapped in cool, crisp lettuce.
When you use iLink to connect the Sony Digital 8 Handycam to the Vaio PC, anything is possible.
Vaio.
Chili's technical support. How do you eat these new Chili's lettuce wrap appetizers?
Just pick up the lettuce, add grilled Asian spiced chicken and sauce, fold and eat.
That sounds great.
Doesn't it, though?
Hi, I'm Pat Seashore, and I'm an engineer for Mercury. That's Scott, my husband.
She comes up to about here on me.
He's 6'1", and he's also very large. So he sits in a car a lot differently than I do. For the new 2000 Mercury Sable, we put adjustable foot pedals in the car. The pedals work by coming toward the driver 3 inches and down about a ½ an inch. I can sit further back and be more comfortable. Nowadays, we have a lot of freedom at Mercury to look for new ideas and make them happen.
We know
know advanced technology doesn't have to be complicated, that every product must be meaningful, and the end result will make you smile. Open up to Samsung Digital and keep in touch. Samsung Digital. Everyone's invited.
Push the buttons on TLC. Check out crime-fighting gizmos. Then watch 20-second missions of mercy. Feel the power of the greatest crime-fighting gadgets. Speed, crash, rescue. Friday starting at 8 on TLC.
Go to TLC.com for a chance to win a 35mm camera. Enter your vote on the top 10 achievements of the 20th century. Then watch Countdown 100 Sunday.
Think the world will come to an end when the new millennium begins? Well, consider this. The moon's moving away from Earth 2 inches every year. Life vest, anyone? If the sun was a little closer, we'd be. But if it moved further back, we'd be. Want to know more? Don't miss the Cosmic Doubleheader If We Had No Moon and Savage Sun. Monday at 9 Eastern and Pacific on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world and your sun and your moon.
Go out there and be happy.
3 student filmmakers venture into the woods in search of the truth about the legendary Blair Witch. They were never seen again. Only their film and videotape were found. That eerie premise gave birth to an extraordinary cinematic journey that led startled audiences into the darkest realms of fear.
The Blair Witch Project was very different, I think, in that many people who saw the movie thought they were seeing something that actually happened. They thought that people really died.
You look at the very first frame of this film and it's like, these 3 kids died, so I'm going to watch how the hell they got killed.
Dan Myrick and Ed Sanchez, co-directors of The Blair Witch, met in film school at the University of Central Florida.
Before we even came up with Blair, we used to, all of our film buddies, we'd sit around and just talk about scary things that happened to us as kids. Those are like campfire stories.
Listen. Hello? Hello?
To create the backstory for their movie, the team contrived a 200-year-old history of a wronged woman who became a vengeful witch. According to the legend, she haunts the woods surrounding Burkittsville, formerly Blair, Maryland. With a budget of less than 1% of the average Hollywood movie, Dan and Ed's team at Haxon Films cast 3 unknown actors to improvise their roles. Much like their characters in the movie, Heather, Josh, and Mike left with camping gear, a 16mm camera and camcorder, but very little knowledge of what was waiting for them in the woods. Ed, Dan, and their crew secretly tracked the 3 actors, scaring them at night with sound effects and setting up ominous sightings along their way.
Hurry up! I'm coming! My boots aren't laced. Oh my God,
You couldn't ask for a better situation to act out genuine fear. You couldn't do 20 takes of a monster jumping out at you and have the same genuine fear.
Frequently, the actors would find a film canister marked with his or her initials. Inside were instructions from the directors, which they weren't allowed to show or talk about with each other.
We wrote it all in the first person, so it was basically like a little voice inside their head talking to them. Heather is doing this to me, and I can't believe it. She's lost.
Lost? Admit that first. Because
I know we're not lost.
What makes the film so real is that the actors are really going through these things for the first time, and they're videotaping themselves doing it.
Not once. I know where we're going.
One of the director's notes led Mike to the witch's creepy symbols hanging in the woods.
Voodoo stuff is hanging all over. Look around.
No way.
We didn't tell him, anything was going to be up there, and the other 2 didn't know.
That's it, Heather. Heather, you got enough, man. Let's go.
The film's tragic tale worsens. On the 7th day in the woods, Heather's character begins to break
She
down.
ran after us. There's no one here to help you. We walked for 15 hours today. We ended up in the same place. There's no one here to help you. That's your motivation. That's your motivation.
Please stop.
Her director's notes led to the movie's signature scene.
I'm not going to make it out of here. I can't go any further. I better leave something behind. So I should go away from Mike and shoot this confessional.
I am so so sorry for everything that has happened.
It wasn't so much pushing something to get the confessional scene as it was letting go of the restraint that was there for the previous days. Do you know what I mean? So once you can let that go and shed that restraint, then the floodgates can just open.
In spite of what Mike says now, it is my fault. Because it was my project. I'm so scared.
We thought, if we could make people think, at least while they're in the theater, that this is real, we can scare them.
Making the audience believe has been the goal of every filmmaker in the cinema of maximum fear.
Whose hand was I holding?
Haunted houses, terrifying hallucinations, and ravenous monsters. These cinematic nightmares may be illusory, but the fear they trigger goes to the very core of our being.
I think it's a primeval thing that goes back to living in a cave and being scared of the dark because you had to be, because out there was a saber-toothed tiger, and that was real danger. And that's been passed down to us, I think, for thousands and thousands of years. Even though the original fear is still there, we've turned it and made it into something that's, certainly as regards cinema, that we can control, almost.
Go behind the scenes in Hollywood, closer than ever before. See how movie masters make action blockbusters like the new James Bond movie. Feel the sheer adrenaline of ultimate special effects next on TLC. Keep the rush going. Race over to TLC.com.
The most revealing network on television, TLC, Adventures for Your Mind.
An intergalactic space race pits bizarre aliens in a life-or-death struggle. Super spy James Bond chases a beautiful terrorist on London's River Thames. Martial arts master Jackie Chan fights his way out of a gangland ambush, while Keanu Reeves battles the forces of evil in a virtual battlefield. Hollywood's masters of illusion demonstrate their amazing techniques in creating heart-stopping chase scenes, animated action, and sheer adrenaline. This is the non-stop world of ultimate special effects. James Bond has always had a fondness for water sports. Whether it's a power-packed gondola ride through the canals of Venice, or a river trip in Brazil that brings new meaning to the term wildlife, 007 proves time and again that a body of water, a seaworthy craft, and an open throttle are an adrenaline-pumping combination. Hollywood filmmakers rely on chase scenes like this to accelerate your heart rate, and that means devising ever more innovative ways of getting characters from one location to the next. Here in London, on the River Thames, the cast and crew of the 19th James Bond film, The World Is Not Enough, is spending 6 weeks shooting one of the wildest chases ever. Bond movies always open with a bang. So to top the previous films, this ambitious chase will include stunts that have never been done before.
Action!
The chase starts here in Q's top-secret laboratory. Director Michael Apted sets the stage for the action that follows as James Bond steals the prototype spy boat over the protestations of the venerable Q. Apted then turns the difficult and time-consuming action sequences over to another team, headed by Second Unit Director Vic Armstrong.
We'd missed the big warehouse up on the left, but I think for the moment we're going to use this, and we'll probably go closer anyway for the hits.
When I design these sequences, I feel pressure to be original, and so you're not repeating things that you've done before or anybody else has done before. That is the tough part.
Well, I think we'll be on something else there anyway.
Armstrong is responsible for delivering the adrenaline in this James Bond adventure. A veteran of such action films as Independence Day, Tomorrow Never Dies, and the Indiana Jones trilogy, Armstrong leads what he calls the action unit.
An action unit director actually takes a complete sequence. We do the sort of big geography shots, if you like, plus all the nitty-gritty, the difficult, time-consuming ramps and action and explosions.
The chase scene for The World Is Not Enough is designed to be classic Bond. The spy in a dinner jacket, a beautiful bloodthirsty adversary, and lots of action and explosions.
Still no good?
For James Bond star Pierce Brosnan, this romp on the Thames is what the classic spy series is all about.
It's one of those things that you can do, and you do it, and it's exciting, it's exhilarating, and then you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, you think, oh my God, what the heck was I doing out there going at 60, 70 miles an hour?
To attempt any memorable chase sequence, filmmakers need a worthy vehicle. In this case, Vic Armstrong found what he was looking for 5,000 miles away in Lewiston, Idaho. Doug Riddle builds and races sprint boats, small jet-powered craft that maneuver extremely well in water as shallow as 2 or 3 inches. Armstrong hired Riddle and another Idaho company, Bent's Boats, to custom build a James Bond sprint boat, 15 boats actually, so the filmmakers would have plenty to race and crash. The final result, a 13-foot aluminum boat powered by 300 horsepower jet drive. Stunt driver Wade Eastwood puts the boat through its paces as he dogs the villainess in her bigger and faster Sunseeker. In the movie, 007 decides to take a shortcut through a narrow canal, which runs right into a boathouse. To ensure the safety of the stunt driver and everyone on the set, Vic Armstrong relies on his longtime friend and collaborator.
Simon Crane, the stunt coordinator, and myself work very, very closely. So when we set out to design a sequence, we're on a total same wavelength. I can walk on the set and I know everything is absolutely worked out. We both know exactly what the other one's thinking.
Stunt coordinator for Titanic and Saving Private Ryan, Simon Crane is also a veteran of several Bond films, both as stunt coordinator and performer.
For the sequence we're doing here at Tobacco Wharf, Bond's boat comes along and does 2 small jumps, and then it races off and jumps through a boathouse, which then ends up on the road.
Only when every element of the jump into the boathouse stunt is in place does Crane give the go-ahead to director Armstrong. Now the filmmakers need to get Bond out the other side. A jump ramp is installed in the boathouse, and a special boat shell, propelled by 20,000 pounds of compressed nitrogen, is placed on the ramp. Next, a more durable driver, capable of withstanding a punishing crash through a boathouse wall, is lifted into the boat. This is the ever-willing James Bond dummy. Crane says the secret to the success of any stunt is in the preparation.
With a Bond film, as you are pushing things to the limit, I'm a great believer in testing and rehearsing everything. I employ 8 people for 4 months prior to shooting the Bond film, where we test every single stunt in the film.
Before shooting this sequence for The World Is Not Enough, the boat was put through weeks of rigorous testing at Lake Hawley in Camberley, south of London.
You can test something with having all your safety all around you. And so then when you come to film it, you know exactly, say, where the boat's going to go or where that person is going to fly to.
Careful testing was crucial for a shot in which James Bond takes his boat out of the water and into a barrel roll, a complete 360-degree spin. For Doug Riddle, the man who built these boats, this stunt stands out as the single most impressive moment in a tightly packed action sequence.
Originally, when we talked to Simon and Vic in Lewiston, they said that their intent was to do a barrel roll with the boat. Come along, hit a ramp, flip completely over, upside down, and land on its bottom and keep going. And we thought, wow, this is going to be really hard to do. I mean, it's a stunt that's never really been done before.
To achieve the roll, the stunt team must first devise a safe, repeatable method of rolling the boat. Suspending a boat from a crane, the stunt designers release a blast from 2 cylinders of compressed nitrogen. They keep testing until they found the right amount of pressure to spin it completely around. Next, stunt driver Gary Powell takes the wheel to attempt an actual barrel roll. The safest landing area, a padding of cardboard boxes, is set up on shore. As he hits the jump ramp, Gary presses a button to release the compressed nitrogen.
The firing buttons on the steering wheel, which obviously is like really sensitive, and if you on your approach into the ramp, if you do bang it for whatever reason, it will somersault the boat in the water. So that has to be sort of hit at exactly the right time.
Additional tests are conducted to make sure Gary has his timing down. It would be extremely dangerous if he landed upside down in the water when he performs this stunt on the Thames.
We tested it and tested it, made sure the pressures were correct. And so when it comes to here, you know, if everything goes to plan, it will be fine. But if it went wrong, it would go seriously wrong.
Vic Armstrong and Simon Crane hope they can get this dangerous stunt on film in just one take.
Action!
Simon Crane, Vic Armstrong, and all those guys in the stunt department make me look good. It's as simple as that. And you're protected, and it's built on trust. I just have the greatest admiration for these guys. It's a very, very brutal job. So the audience can go, ah!
For these filmmakers, total commitment is crucial to the formula that has made James Bond an action movie icon since 1962.
I think the formula with all Bond movies is the fact that it's envy, that it's fantasy, but it's fantasy with just the right amount of realism. Like when you're driving a car and you get teed off with somebody, you really want to put your foot down, hit the pavement, go around here and, you know, just be outrageous. And Bond can do it legally with a great panache and style and get away with it in a cause of good and justice.
Coming up, George Lucas's visual effects factory conjures up Jedi warriors and computer-generated pod races. Plus, the most extravagant car chase in movie history.
Ultimate Special Effects is sponsored in part by Pentax Corporation. Aren't your pictures worth a Pentax? And by KBKids.com. We get toys.
We're on a deadly snake hunt today with my Pentax IQ Zoom 160. Pentax has the longest compact zooms in the world, so I can keep a safe distance away and still get a tight shot. Oh, too close. You're a little bit grumpy. I could die taking this picture, but my Pentax is impervious to the bite. Oh! Now there's a gorgeous girl. Aren't your pictures worth a Pentax?
At KBKids.com, you'll get toys you can't find anywhere else. Like the Hot Wheels Power Loop set. Defy gravity on an inverted cliffhanger curve. Then send them flying through the stunt zone. Kids will be as thrilled with the jumps and crashes as you'll be finding the perfect gift. Just click here. the Hot Wheels Power Loop set. Hurry, available only at kbkids.com. We get toys.
Hi, I'm Pat Seashore, and I'm an engineer for Mercury. That's Scott, my husband.
She comes up to about here on me.
He's 6'1", and he's also very large. So he sits in a car a lot differently than I do. For the new 2000 Mercury Sable, we put adjustable foot pedals in the car. The pedals work by coming toward the driver 3 inches and down about a ½ inch. I can sit further back, be more comfortable. Nowadays, we have a lot of freedom at Mercury to look for new ideas and make them happen.
Log on to dsports.com, the ultimate online sporting goods store. dsports.com. Seize the D.
Being a couch potato just wouldn't be the same without the television. One of the 100 greatest achievements of the 20th century. Check out TLC for Countdown 100, starting Sunday at 9.
If the men in your life love sports like he does, I have to show you the absolute best holiday gift you could give this year. Shh. He gets a year's worth of ESPN the magazine. But what's even greater is he also gets this ESPN the magazine fleece pullover. I can't wait. I have to see how great this fleece looks on him. Don't worry, he's a very sound sleeper. It's got the red ESPN the magazine logo embroidered right on it. Really roomy. And it zips right up. I mean, how great is this? And best of all, it's free.
Give the gift of ESPN the magazine. Sports the way it ought to be. You'll get 26 issues, 1 year for only $26. And the fleece pullover is free.
Boy, it feels so warm and toasty in here.
Uh-oh.
Call now to give ESPN the magazine and free fleece pullover.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, an interplanetary assortment of oddball aliens race for their lives through canyons and under arches. This is a race only visionary filmmakers can deliver. Cutthroat competitions, mental-wrenching crashes, and drivers you won't see at a Formula One event. This is the world of George Lucas,
I want to try something else.
whose fourth Star Wars film, Phantom Menace, is infused with the sheer adrenaline of mythic science fiction. To achieve his vision of totally believable fantasy, Lucas turned to the visual effects company he created for the first Star Wars movie, Industrial Light and Magic, or ILM.
One of the things I wanted to do was to be able to not limit my imagination. I wanted to be able to do whatever I wanted, whatever I could think up, and not really worry about how ILM was going to accomplish it. So whatever my imagination could come up with, I just put down on the page, and I said, we'll worry about this later.
To help realize his vision on paper, Lucas turned to conceptual artist Doug Chiang and the art department at Lucasfilm.
My role basically is to design all the elements that you see. On a film like Star Wars, it's literally like working on 3 or 4 or 5 different feature films, because in George's Star Wars universe, everything needs to be designed.
Following Lucas's direction, Chiang and his team map out the film's visuals in a series of drawings called storyboards. After working for nearly a year, Lucas unveiled his plans to visual effects supervisor John Knoll.
We looked at about 3,500 storyboards, and that was a kind of an intimidating experience. You know, we would look at a storyboard and you think, oh, boy, that's going to be hard. And before you have a lot of time to think about how you're going to approach doing that very difficult shot, we were on to the next one.
An especially difficult challenge is the 12-minute race sequence featuring 22 pod racers of several species. To create the universe's most death-defying speedway, Lucas turned to one of the original employees of ILM, senior matte artist Paul Houston.
The problem that I was to solve was to make full-motion 3D backgrounds for the pod race. Give you the feeling that it's made out of rock and it's made out of sand and that there's heat and there's sunlight coming down on it and there's dust from the racers having gone by.
Houston starts his creative process by building models of the racecourse's stone mesas and arches. He then traces the models with a digitizing arm. This device converts each rock formation into a 3D computer model. This will allow him to create a virtual environment for the race. Another challenge was to create a place for the fans. Construction of the Moss Espa Arena was supervised by Michael Lynch.
This is like 1 square feet of the Moss Espa Arena that we used cotton tip applicators for the background people.
To populate the 60-foot-long grandstand model, the modeling team painted approximately 330,000 cotton swabs.
The reason that this works, if I can turn this around, is that they all hang down, all the stems hang down below this grid and act as pendulums. So the heads move very slightly, but the stems catch wind and move them around subtly. It's wonderful that we do, in fact, have solutions sometimes that are low-tech and that we can show that we still can do it the old-fashioned way once in a while to fill in a gap.
The effects team relied on more modern methods to build the fastest racing vehicles ever seen.
The pod racers themselves are jet engines that hover above the ground like a speeder. 2 of them usually with cables that go back to a cockpit that itself also hovers.
Heading up the animation team for the pod race was Habib Zarkapur. The computer graphics supervisor felt that the best way to animate the race was with a technique called CG simulation.
It basically means that any specific motion that you're seeing on whatever you're animating came from the computer's calculations, and we gave it some hints as to where we want it to go.
For CG simulation, animators feed parameters to the computer, which then generates the action. This technique allowed the pod crashes to be strikingly realistic.
George really wanted to do something different with the crashes on this picture. You know, your typical movie crash, you've got the car hits wall, big orange fireball. But that's not really the way cars crash in a racing event.
And one of the things we got was reference footage of cars crashing and tumbling, and that was the look they wanted to go for. Continuous tumbling of metal, just like a real car crash, in this case, at much higher speeds. Things just don't stop, they just keep going and tumbling.
The pods are amazing, and so are the drivers. All of the pod racers, with the exception of young Anakin Skywalker, are digital characters. George Lucas created a cast of rogues with distinct personalities. The star of the pod race circuit is the evil Sebulba. He and all the other animated characters were created by a 45-member unit supervised by animation director Rob Coleman.
Sebulba is the reigning champion pod racer. He's the very best of the best and is the current favorite of the crowds. As we learned from pod racing, it's not exactly illegal to cheat and to drive your opponents into the walls, and Sebulba's especially good at that. But what makes him fun from an animator's point of view is the shape of his body, the design of his body, and how he moves around. He walks on his hands and he drives with his feet.
Responsible for refining Sebulba's look is digital modeler Paul Giacopo.
I just wanted him to be a really great villain and people to like him, and for him to have moments where you just hated him and moments where you just had to laugh at him because he was so evil.
From the original concept drawings of Sebulba, a wireframe computer model is produced. Once in the wireframe stage, Paul works out the fine details of the character's look, much like a sculptor working clay.
I can come in here and make his ears protrude more, and that is very much part of my day, where I'll take a look at the modeling reference that I have of the drawings or the designs, and I'll spend my day sculpting it until I think it looks fantastic.
Sonny Way models Sebulba's facial movements. Utilizing 2 mirrors, Sonny references his own face for the character's expressions. Lead animator Miguel Fuertes put some of his attitude into Sebulba, but the character also rubbed off on him.
No, I was Sebulba for 8 months. I was trying to be nasty to people and things like that. To be honest with you, I always hope that Sebulba will win.
How can you not root for Sebulba? Like, you have to want Sebulba to win. He cheats, he steals, he does everything wrong.
For Star Wars fans, nothing gets the adrenaline pumping like a life-or-death duel with lightsabers. Actors Liam Neeson, Ewan McGregor, and Ray Parks rehearsed for months perfecting this physically exhausting martial art.
To see a Jedi in his prime, fighting in the prime of the Jedi, I wanted it to be a much more energetic and faster version of what we've been doing. And I must say they were able to pull it off.
Right, so what is it again from there?
Just that from the
Normally with like sabers, you have to kind of hack, and put weight behind it. But with these things, it's very, very gentle, kind of fast movements, but very kind of gentle at the same time. Smooth and fluid.
Liam and Ewan worked for several weeks with fight choreographer and stunt supervisor Nick Gillard.
So this is a Ewan McGregor lightsaber. We had to go through one fight. We're gonna have to get stronger ones made. They don't make lightsabers like they used to.
It goes whack, kick.
After the actors are filmed on stage, the battle is intensified in the computer by Sandy Karpman, who is a big Star Wars fan.
Hi. We can't build the lightsabers. I mean, it's just not to crush anybody's dreams, but the lightsabers are a figment of George's imagination. So what these guys had was they had these plastic sticks that they smacked each other with. And one of the hard parts is they smacked each other so hard that they kept breaking the sticks.
The sticks used on set were colored for reference. When the film came to ILM, artists replaced the sticks with the famous glowing shafts of light. Part of the peril of the Jedi battle with Darth Maul is the setting where the battle takes place. Overseeing the virtual set is visual effects supervisor Scott Squires.
That we're creating a totally synthetic background. They built just a very small amount of a set on location over in England, but the rest of the room had to be generated and all the glass tubes had to be generated in post-production.
Months of rehearsal and performance by the actors, and months of effects artistry combined to create adrenaline-pumping, saber-slashing action. Visual effects editor David Tanaka uses some additional tricks of the digital trade to place actor Ewan McGregor in harm's way.
If I step through this blue screen footage, first thing that you'll notice, besides the background not being there, is Darth Maul's kick never gets anywhere in terms of punching actor Ewan McGregor in the face.
To create the illusion that the kick hits its mark, Tanaka splits the image in half and repositions Obi-Wan closer to Darth Maul. In The Phantom Menace, George Lucas and the team at ILM weave a world of fantasy to bring us sheer adrenaline that's out of this world. When we return, the martial arts comedy of Jackie Chan. And Keanu Reeves fights his way through the high-tech wizardry of The Matrix.
Oh, Mom, it's great. My first apartment. You should see it. It's huge.
When you've got things to talk about, it's a good idea to dial 10-10-321 first.
And I got a great view of the river.
With 10-10-321, you get 50% off calls over 10 minutes. That's just 8 cents a minute, day or night, and no monthly fees. And at 50% off, you can share every last detail.
And I even have a garden.
Talk as long as you want with 10-10-321.
They have substance, integrity. They're the individual pieces that contribute to a greater good, making lives less worrisome, futures more secure. They are the agents of New York life. Their humanity is the stone with which this company was built. They are why New York life is the company you keep.
Not the DVD player.
All right, I've had a big night. We can work this out. Chateau Saint-Pierre-Valjean, 1960.
What else you got?
Diamond-encrusted platinum cigarette case.
Where'd you steal that?
9C.
The Abernathy's, it's fake. What do you drive?
The yellow Lamborghini on the corner.
You should go.
Rare stamps.
Get out.
Sony DVD, your most prized possession. Part of the Sony home entertainment universe.
Hi, I'm Pat Seashore, and I'm an engineer for Mercury. That's Scott, my husband.
She comes up to about here on me.
He's 6'1", and he's also very large. So he sits in a car a lot differently than I do. For the new 2000 Mercury Sable, we put adjustable foot pedals in the car. The pedals work by coming toward the driver 3 inches and down about a ½ inch. I can sit further back and be more comfortable. Nowadays, we have a lot of freedom at Mercury to look for new ideas and make them happen.
Go to TLC.com for a chance to win a 35mm camera. Enter your vote on the top 10 achievements of the 20th century. Then, watch Countdown 100 Sunday. Monday night on Paramedics. Portland EMS confronts a mysterious seizure.
Just really need a lot. Okay, just relax.
A trapped crash victim.
Right now, we got to get you out of this seat and onto that board.
And a man fighting to hold on.
How's his heart rate doing over there, guys?
With lives on the line, every decision is critical.
We're gonna have to shock him.
Meet the men and women who thrive on the rush of risk and rescue. It's non-stop action on an all-new Paramedics, Monday at 8 on TLC.
Action! Family, in-laws. Cut, good guys, good, great.
Here on a film location in Alberta, Canada, a Western tale is being created for the big screen with the help of a very unlikely star. Jackie Chan, the Chinese action hero, is bringing his trademark blend of martial arts and physical comedy to the Old West in Shanghai Noon. A master of props, the agile comedian has been training hard in the ways of the West. But long before he made his mark in America, Jackie Chan had conquered the rest of the world. Over 37 years and 77 films, Jackie has perfected the art of big screen brawls with a humorous touch.
It's not fighting, it's an art. It's like a dancing. Da, 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 da. It's not. I like action. I like kung fu and martial art, but I hate violence. What can I do? So this is why I put more comedy inside.
Just hang on, man. I'll be right back. I'll just play. Do something.
In his breakthrough American film, Rush Hour, Chan plays a Chinese cop teamed with a renegade Los Angeles police detective, played by Chris Tucker. Rush Hour showcases how Jackie incorporates comedy into his action sequences. Long famed for performing his own stunts, Chan pulled off this high fall wearing a cable known as a descender rig.
Shocking!
In another scene, Jackie attempts a rescue when Tucker is held hostage. Chan choreographs every punch, including his co-star's smooth moves.
I worked out a lot before this movie, so, because I knew it was going to be, a lot of action, and I wanted to be, standing up with Jackie. I ain't going to embarrass Jackie, because as soon as I do something wrong, he'll be like, no, you have to do this way. It does not look good, look fake. So he tell me all the time, so I follow his lead, and he'll make me look like a big action star. He can't lose with that.
When the fighting scene, you have something like let the audience follow what's going on. Okay, we're talking about gun, then gun.
Over the course of hundreds of fight scenes, Chan has built a team of trusted support players.
Kick to Chris, then Chris.
With them, his fight choreography has developed a kind of physical shorthand.
Yeah, I come to you.
You go in 2, I go in 3. And you go in 1. The explosion go in 4. Okay? Try. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I have a look. Look, everybody. Sometimes, no, you're too slow. You're too slow. Boom, boom, boom. Okay? Rehearsal again.
I just pick up the gun. He give me a kick. Boom! I give him a kick. And the gun goes. The gun goes. Right? Yeah.
This attention to detail, along with his reliance on physical humor, has helped make Jackie Chan an audience favorite around the world.
Why so successful? Because most of the time I just... Oh, they just they know what's going on. They watch the story. I even don't say any dialogue. It's like a silent movie.
A silent movie punctuated by explosive action. The martial arts cinema of Jackie Chan and other Hong Kong filmmakers is a blend of acrobatics and ballet. When these moves are photographed with revolutionary camera systems, the result is a new kind of action film. This is the world of The Matrix, where conventional rules of gravity don't apply. The sci-fi thriller is the brainchild of writer-director brothers Larry and Andy Wachowski. Their movie tells the story of a computer hacker called Neo, played by Keanu Reeves.
I'm searching for the answer. The question is, what is the Matrix? My character feels that the answer to this question will somehow make sense of his life.
Instead, the answer pulls the rug out from underneath him when Neo learns that what he thought was reality is actually an artificial world generated by computers. To help create the action sequences inside this alternate universe, the Wachowskis hired Kung Fu maestro Young Woo Ping. He spent 4 months training the cast and choreographing their fights.
The brothers had storyboards of fight sequences that they wanted to see, certain, punches and kicks and flips that they wanted to see. And then Wu Ping brought in his style. And then he kind of worked with the actors and saw what we were good at, what we weren't good at, and trained around that.
If you look at Hong Kong films, a lot of times the actor will be up in the air that split second longer than is humanly possible. Me being a naive film goer, I thought, wow, they can jump really well. But the truth is they're on wires, and it's really an amazing sight to see.
In one eye-popping shot, actress Carrie-Anne Moss takes a 50-foot leap between rooftops. To do this, an elaborate wire rig was set up by stunt coordinator Glenn Boswell.
Carrie-Anne's ability, because she spent so much time on the wire, and she's well coordinated, that she could actually we could take her off, she could make the step, leap, travel the 50 feet, and put her down all in one shot. And because of her natural ability, she made it believable.
Other cables that jerked the stunt performers off their feet were used to demonstrate the superhuman strength of the security agents who police the virtual world. But even wire rigs weren't enough to capture the film's most mind-bending moments. To create the shots they termed bullet time, the directors turned to visual effects supervisor John Gaeta and his team at Manex Visual Effects.
Bullet time really means a moment where a character is attempting a mind over matter type, existence. It can mean any kind of time stylization or moment inside of a moment type of event.
Ironically, the seeds for this cutting-edge film technology predate motion pictures. In the 1870s, pioneering American photographer Edward Muybridge documented human movement by taking a series of photographs. The same principle is behind the elaborate rig of cameras used to capture bullet time. This setup has 120 still cameras. A motion picture camera bookends the rig, allowing the filmmakers to ease in and out of the shots.
The rig that we've made can be configured into any shape that you want. It can do S-curves, it can do arcs, it can do spirals, it can do anything you want. It's an erector set.
The directors design each shot with the help of Manex animators like Dan Clem.
What they do is they use this to actually lay out the shot, how they want the cameras to be, how they want the action to come out, how they want the actors to be. Each one of those blue cameras represents an actual physical camera that's put on set. Then they can shoot the actors inside a large green screen stage.
The actors perform their stunt inside the rig as the cameras are flashed in sequence. The series of photographs are strung together and refined into one smooth flowing moment. Then, to create the backgrounds to complete the shot, the animators borrow a page from the Matrix story and create a virtual set. An innovative method of generating a 3D world out of still photographs was co-designed by George Borshukov.
You pretty much try to capture, with a minimal number of photographs, the most information contained in this environment. So you go and you take pictures from different positions.
To generate a subway platform, Borshukov sat down at his computer with 12 photographs of the location.
And then we start playing around with them inside the computer to extract the geometry that corresponds to this virtual set.
The photographs are then applied to the wireframe model.
And interactively with the mouse, I can just point the camera at different places in the scene and in real time be able to fly around in this set just using these 12 original photographs.
The footage of the actors is now combined with the computer-generated background to create a seamless bullet time image. The Mannix team calls their breakthrough virtual cinematography.
It's pretty flexible because it allows us to do camera moves that would not be normally impossible. Now with the virtual cinematography, that camera can fly around at any speed. It's not constrained to its own rigging. It won't hit itself because it doesn't actually ever really exist. We can do crazy things with the lenses. We can warp or distort the backgrounds, pretty much whatever you want to do.
Other action scenes in The Matrix are designed to make the viewer's mind get a workout, as when Neo confronts the Docbot, a robotic creature that polices the pod prisons enslaving humans.
For that one, I wanted it to be kind of like a crab that could reveal itself, hidden inside its shell and reveal itself when it needed to.
Animator Grant Niesner spent a year designing the creatures in this intricate world.
The Wachowskis wanted to combine an organic look with a mechanical, so it was really trying to conceive of what these machines would create for themselves, as how, machines designed by machines.
Despite its nightmare vision, the enthusiastic response to The Matrix suggests in the future, action films will have a cyber spin.
I think one of the main attractions is it's the first film about virtual reality and digital existence when the Western countries have become at ease with the notion of being a digital society.
Thanks to computers, action movies will continue to pull off the physically impossible. Next, staging the big screen's biggest car chase. And
nice shade.
Spider-Man spins his way through a superhero playground.
I want to buy an SUV. The problem is the ad people are whispering to my brain. So to block them, I go on Deja.com. You get advice, ratings, and reviews from real people there. Unpolluted people. Nobody has gotten to them. 59 people have recommended the same model, so I'm going to get one with blacked out windows.
Get information and advice for smarter decisions at Deja.com before you buy.
We're on a wild crocodile hunt today with my Pentax IQ Zoom 105WR. Whoa, here she comes. This mate's not afraid of croc-infested waters. Steady, mate. Oh, whoa! Crikey! No worries if you drop her in the mud, just rinse her off. Zooming in for a beauty shot now. Oh, that's a pretty smile. Aren't your pictures worth a Pentax?
At kbkids.com, you'll get toys you can't find anywhere else.
What did you kids?
Uh-oh, Paul. Like the new Talk Together Teletubbies. They talk together, play together, even sing together. And at kbkids.com, you'll love how easy it is to find Talk Together Teletubbies. Almost as much as kids love talking with them.
Quiet, you two.
The new Talk Together Teletubbies, only at kbkids.com. We get toys. Now you get free shipping.
Hi, I'm Pat Seashore, and I'm an engineer for Mercury. That's Scott, my husband.
She comes up to about here on me.
He's 6'1", and he's also very large. So he sits in a car a lot differently than I do. For the new 2000 Mercury Sable, we put adjustable foot pedals in the car. The pedals work by coming toward the driver 3 inches and down about a ½ inch. I can sit further back and be more comfortable. Nowadays, we have a lot of freedom at Mercury to look for new ideas and make them happen.
TLC goes to Hollywood.
We'll check out my favorite Hollywood locations.
The glitz.
I can talk to gang members and winos.
The glamour.
You're under arrest.
The stars.
This was a talk show, I'd be bombing right now, wouldn't I?
What a great place to be a cop.
We're here to take care of business, man. We gotta kick the door and we kick it in, okay?
TLC patrols the streets with the men and women that keep the peace in Tinseltown.
Los Angeles Police Department, the house is surrounded. Come out with your hands up.
Hollywood Cops, Monday beginning at 9 on TLC.
Your trip to the bank just got shorter, your rate of return higher, and your financial goals closer. Because now you can earn more on your savings with Telebank. Call now to find out how you can earn hundreds more with money market accounts that have consistently paid double the national average and CDs with yields in the top 1% in the nation for the past 10 years. How can we pay such high rates? Instead of building costly branches, we do business online and over the phone. That keeps our overhead low, so we can pass the savings on to you. Telebank also provides personal customer service by phone 7 days a week. And all of our accounts are FDIC insured. Call now for a free information kit or visit our website to see how much more you can earn with Telebank. We're so sure you'll like banking with us, we'll even give you a $50 bonus when you open an account by December 31st. Shouldn't you be earning more on your savings? Call Telebank today.
The final battle between soldiers of fortune played out on the streets of Paris. Robert De Niro, as an ex-CIA agent known only as Sam, pursues a beautiful provocateur. In this extensive action sequence, the movie car chase is taken to its ultimate extreme. The movie is Ronin, the Japanese word for freelance samurai warriors.
David?
For director John Frankenheimer, whose 50-year career includes Black Sunday and The Manchurian Candidate, Ronin offered an opportunity to indulge in one of his great passions.
The thing that I won in the senior yearbook was not the most likely to succeed, was not the best looking, but it was Highway Menace. So I have been involved in fast cars all my life.
Monte Carlo, 1966. The world's most famous racing circuit became the setting for the year's biggest action film. In Grand Prix, a young Frankenheimer set a new standard for the Hollywood car chase.
Grand Prix was really my Walter Mitty picture, because there's no way I could have ever been good enough to be a Formula One driver. But I was around every great Formula One driver in the world for a year, and that picture was the most fun I've ever had.
Over 3 decades later, Frankenheimer returned to France to outgun Grand Prix. Legendary French driver Jean-Claude Lanier is hired to oversee the car stunts and to perform many of the film's most difficult maneuvers. Ultimately, 300 stunt drivers would help destroy 75 cars in the 7-minute sequence.
What you need to understand if you're going to film a car chase is that you need a lot of various shots because they go by so fast.
For some shots, the picture cars were towed at speeds up to 100 miles per hour through narrow Parisian streets. To capture close-ups of De Niro and actress Natasha Lyonne at the wheel, the film team mounted cameras to the hoods of cars that had 2 sets of controls, one real, one for show.
The camera pointed at the actor driving the phony steering wheel while next to him was the stunt driver driving the car.
Phony steering wheel or not, the film still required the cast to be in the cars for many of the hairiest stunts.
Bob De Niro was in the car when we did that, and that was a hairy thing to do, that 360.
The pedestrians leaping out of harm's way were supervised by stunt coordinator Joe Duff.
Good stunt. Well done.
He also helped stage the chase's dramatic ending on the Paris freeway.
The freeway just ended with a fall of about 30 feet. So we did the car turnover in a couple of ways. First of all, we had the stunt guy turn the car over, which you use a ramp for. Then we put the car on the floor, pulling it with wire. We had it pulled over the edge. So we did it in a few cuts. But it worked very, very well.
The camera crew spent 6 weeks filming the chase. But the work was only half complete. The audio would be built back in Hollywood by sound designer Mike Lemaire.
Sound is always added afterwards on car chases. You have more control over the car sounds. You can reproduce exactly what you need. You'll never get a director say, let's go once again because the car sound wasn't any good. But that's what I come in and do.
Frankenheimer insisted that every sound in the chase be accurate, from tire squeals to engine roars.
There are 172 different soundtracks for a vehicle. You've got your different speeds of run-bys, let's say. You've got your up and stops with skids and without stops. You've got all the doors, everything you can think of on a car.
To get cars to make the same sounds as the European models used in Paris, Lemaire had Los Angeles mechanic Jeff Robbins alter the vehicles.
First, we had to find the cars, and then we had to modify them so they would sound like they're from Europe. We had to modify all the exhaust on them and make them run the way they would run overseas.
Once the cars were altered, they were turned loose on the racetrack with microphones mounted in key locations. The resulting recordings allowed Lemaire to construct every squeal and smash in the sequence. That attention to detail was all part of Frankenheimer's determination to raise the bar of the cinematic car chase.
When I set out to do this movie, I figured, okay, I'm going to give them some car chases. And the next time anybody wants to do one of these things, they're going to have to look at this movie.
Next, mere mortals get blasted in a superhero world.
Ultimate Special Effects is sponsored in part by Sony Vaio computers and digital Handycam camcorders.
When you use iLink to connect the Sony Digital 8 Handycam to the Vaio PC, anything is possible.
Vaio.
Our values are our blueprint. Integrity, our foundation. Every decision we make, every action we take is anchored in our commitment to always be there for our customers. Integrity is the foundation and the ink with which every policy is written. It's why New York Life is the company you keep.
Hi, I'm Pat Seashore, and I'm an engineer for Mercury. That's Scott, my husband.
She comes up to about here on me.
He's 6'1", and he's also very large. So he sits in a car a lot differently than I do. For the new 2000 Mercury Sable, we put adjustable foot pedals in the car. The pedals work by coming toward the driver 3 inches and down about a ½ inch. I can sit further back and be more comfortable. Nowadays, we have a lot of freedom at Mercury to look for new ideas and make them happen.
Push the buttons on TLC. Check out crime-fighting gizmos, then 20-second missions of mercy. Feel the power of the greatest crime-fighting gadgets. Speed, crash, rescue. Friday starting at 8 on TLC.
Have you ever been curious about the 100 greatest achievements of the 20th century? Well, step aside, Dick Clark. TLC's got the real countdown. Countdown 100, a 2-hour special event, Sunday beginning at 9 on TLC.
TLC goes to Hollywood.
We'll check out my favorite Hollywood locations.
The glitz.
I can talk to gang members and winos.
The glamour.
You're under arrest.
The stars.
This was a talk show, I'd be bombing right now, wouldn't I?
What a great place to be a cop.
We're here to take care of business, man. We gotta kick the door and we kick it in, okay?
TLC patrols the streets with the men and women that keep the peace in Tinseltown.
Los Angeles Police Department, the house is surrounded. Come out with your hands up.
Hollywood Cops, Monday beginning at 9 on TLC.
In the cartoon universe, the laws of physics are suspended. When animation is combined with 3D technology, filmmakers have a new opportunity to put viewers in the heart of the action. Islands of Adventure at Universal Studios Florida is home to a new attraction considered the next generation of action entertainment.
Be careful.
The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man combines 3D film with synchronized live special effects and moving motion-based vehicles. Steven Spielberg consulted on the project, led by Universal Studios Senior Vice President of Design and Creative Development, Mark Woodbury.
We really knew it was going to be a groundbreaking attraction, kind of a threshold attraction, taking new technologies and combining them in ways with special effects film that have never been done before.
To meet the film's artistic challenges, Universal called upon Kleiser-Walzak Construction Company. This innovative effects facility makes its home at Mass MoCA, a contemporary art museum in Massachusetts. It was co-founded by Jeff Kleiser and Diana Walzak.
They wanted it to be the most amazing ride in the universe, and this sort of caught our attention.
The whole idea was to go inside a comic book, to take the audience inside a three-dimensional Spider-Man comic book and give them the adventure of their lives. The first thing that we needed to do was define the look of the environments.
Spider-Man's three-dimensional cityscapes are designed by art director Kent Michelson.
Our characters are much more realistic than you might see in a two-dimensional comic book. So we had to come up with a look that was somewhere between photorealistic and the comic book look.
Kent designs a series of detailed illustrations that are turned over to a team of computer animators. The color illustrations provide necessary direction for creating Spider-Man's dramatic locales.
Excellent!
But bringing the fantasy characters to life proves to be a greater challenge for the animation team led by Daryl Hunt.
This is the first time that Spider-Man's ever been seen in 3 dimensions, and we wanted him to really look like the superhero that he is.
The animators attempted to simulate Spider-Man's movements through a process called motion capture.
We tried to put guys in suits and then put sensors on their bodies, but it always fell short.
If what you're trying to do is create a superhuman character that's flying or leaping and spinning up, doing flips and landing sideways on walls, these are all things that a person can't do.
So the filmmakers decided to abandon the motion capture work and animate Spider-Man's every move, frame by frame.
I kind of picture Spidey as a gymnast or someone who just flipped off of walls or, swung on webs. It wasn't until I had to animate the first scene, which was a big dialogue piece where he interacts with the audience themselves.
With Doc Ock on the loose, this could be the...
That part, I had to look deeper into the character. I had to find out who Spidey was.
Nice shade.
The ride allows viewers to experience 3D while moving around, something that's never been done before. software designer Frank Bitz gave his breakthrough formula an appropriately animated name.
We looked at what was actually happening on the screen. The images were sort of mooshing and squinching. So we came up with the term squinching as an abbreviation for this complex mathematical process.
3 years and 35 animators later, the 16,000 film frames were ready to roll at Universal Studios Florida. To showcase the film as intended, the Spider-Man team needed a special motion base to put the film audience in the heart of the action. Called a scoop, the motion base is armed with 3 computer brains that synchronize its moves with the film's on-screen action. The film is projected from behind the screen. This allows designers the space for giant animated props, such as a breaking pipe, a collapsing bridge, moving walls, and other illusions.
The main purpose of it is to thrill people and to convince you that you are having an experience which you're not having at all.
Finally, the illusion is completed with atmospheric touches, heat blasts, water sprays, fog, and wind gusts.
And Spider-Man is one thing, basically made of many, many detailed, complicated pieces. It's one big illusion.
For Universal's project director, Mark Watson, one illusion takes audiences on a virtual flight above the city.
We've got a set piece, a falling wall set piece, and 2 projector screens on either side that fall. Along with, you can hear the turbo fans overhead. Those effects and the movement of the motion base create a feel like you're levitating 40 stories that's unbelievable. You swear you're flying.
The 4-minute ride film gives audiences a new kind of action experience and sets the stage for even greater technological advances.
So what happens next? For us anyway, the idea of continuing to see how far we can immerse people in a visceral, thrilling, compelling story is really where we're headed.
If you dimwits think you're getting out of here, you're in for it.
As action films evolve, innovative techniques continue to produce adrenaline-pumping moments, thanks to the creative wizardry of Hollywood filmmakers and their pursuit of ultimate special effects.
Go behind the scenes in Hollywood, closer than ever before. See how movie pros set off mega blasts for big-time hits like Armageddon on Ultimate Special Effects, next on TLC. And for more sparks, go to TLC.com.
You're watching TLC, Adventures for Your Mind.
They light up the screen in order to bring down the house.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start loading our bomb vehicle.
Nothing rivets an audience more than a big explosion. And Hollywood special effects artists know how to deliver the heart-stopping goods. Follow the masters of explosive impact as they reveal their trade secrets. Next on Ultimate Special Effects. Boston Harbor, the site of a historic tea party, is about to be rocked by one of the largest displays of pyrotechnic firepower ever set off for a motion picture.
Bill is now hot, ready all around. Here we go.
Created Recreating this powerful moment requires great skill and precision. But it's just one of the record-setting explosions the filmmakers of the thriller Blown Away will undertake. Few images can transfix an audience more than a mega blast. That's why Hollywood has always loved big explosions.
On location in Paris, Burt Lancaster and director John Frankenheimer checked preparations for the biggest explosion ever staged for a motion picture.
Over the years, filmmakers have employed a variety of techniques to create fireballs. But there's nothing quite like blowing up full-size buildings and vehicles with tons of explosives. In 1964, John Frankenheimer directed one of Hollywood's most explosive sequences for his World War II thriller, The Train.
It was done with real trains. There were no miniatures involved. The Spitfire actually attacked the train. We had 1,000 yards of bullet hits on the track. Everything on the train was for real.
Lee Zavitz, the special effects genius who burned Atlanta for Gone with the Wind, plans 140 blasts for this spectacular sequence.
30 years later, director Stephen Hopkins set out to make an even bigger impression on the big screen in Blown Away. The film stars Tommy Lee Jones as a terrorist bomber. Jeff Bridges plays a member of a police bomb squad who becomes the target of Jones's attacks. Equally important to the human characters are the movie's explosions. And director Hopkins has gone to great lengths to ensure his are memorable.
They're unusual. They're not run-of-the-mill things just blowing up. And they to make them a part of the story and to make them exciting, often they usually involve a bunch of people.
One of the most challenging blasts goes off in the heart of Boston in Copley Square. In this scene, Bridges' character realizes a device planted on the bomb squad van is about to detonate. For this critical moment, the crew has prepared a heart-stopping fireball.
The explosions, each one really has its own personality, and I think a large part of that goes to Clay Penny, who is the pyrotechnic expert on the show and designed all these explosions.
Physical effects supervisor Clay Penny has created blasts for such pyro-packed films as Backdraft and Independence Day. This shot requires him to blow the van sky high between some of Boston's most priceless real estate.
The bomb squad van was right in Copley Plaza next to Trinity Church. Usually what we do on something like that is use a sand mortar, the large black powder charge, and just literally blow it over. But we're right next to the Hancock Tower, which loses its windows on its own quite a bit. And also the Rose window at Trinity was right there. And I didn't want to be known as the guy that blew that out.
To pull off the van blast, Penny and his team test a variety of volatile compounds before filming begins.
We did it several times just to see how far we could get the flame out, and what we do is set up posts, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 feet out, and put some rubber cement on the tops of the things right before we set it. Videotape that, and you can see just how far out it had gone by which one had been lit.
Whoa! Like nice.
The chemicals used in these black powder bombs are considered Class B explosives. While not as volatile as dynamite, they're still tightly regulated, and every member of the special effects crew must be licensed to handle them. The bombs must detonate in close proximity to Jeff Bridges' character. Stunt coordinator Vince Dedrick Jr. will double for Bridges in the most dangerous shots.
So if you can wait maybe a half beat later so this thing's really coming in.
One camera angle requires Dedrick to be enveloped by a propane gas fireball, a stunt that has been carefully tested.
I got out to the special effects compound with Clay and his men, and we set up the explosive devices that we were going to use in the truck, and measured out the distance on how far the fireball was coming out.
It looked like a huge explosion, but as soon as that came out of the van, it stayed fairly parallel to the ground and immediately started chimneying. So Vince knew that if he got within about 15, 20 feet, hit the ground, he was going to get hot, but all of it was going to go up above him.
Got on my Nomex underwear and treated fireproof clothing and the gel that I put around my face and hands. I was able to get right into that fireball.
For the final moment in the explosive sequence, Penny and his team will use a crane to flip the van upside down. But for dramatic impact, Hopkins wants a close-up shot of Jeff Bridges himself running into the flames.
To really pull off a stunt, there's a lot of different elements that kind of go into it, but you start very methodically planning what you're going to do. When you're finally going to do the take, there's so much adrenaline going on through your body that you can forget, where you're supposed to put your hand, where the bomb is going off, and these kind of things. And you have to kind of program yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, we're going to start loading our bomb vehicle.
At the van, Penny double-checks the placement of the explosives and positions dummies of 2 characters that are killed in the blast. With the explosive set, the cameras roll.
We're set. Action.
Bridges emerges unscathed. The flames are quickly extinguished. Ultimately, all of Penny's explosive effects are edited into one devastating blast. To stop the attacks, Bridges' cop must confront the bomber, played by Tommy Lee Jones. They meet up in an abandoned ship that the terrorist has pre-rigged to explode, using an unusual assortment of devices.
They are elaborate, but they're not real high-tech. I mean, he makes a lot of his own explosive material with coffee makers and other things.
The film's ultimate blast must reflect the bomber's unique approach, as well as destroy the ship. For this shot, Penny pre-tests a powerful mix of explosives.
We had somewhere around 200 pounds of black powder, over 9,000 feet of primacord, and about 580 gallons of gasoline.
Primacord is a rope-like explosive that burns at a rate of 22,000 feet per second. 17 cameras are rolling when the explosive concoction is unleashed. The materials pose a serious risk to the scene's 2 stuntmen, Dedrick and Tony Brubaker, the stunt double for co-star Forrest Whitaker.
You've got a lot of stuff that could conceivably hurt you, conceivably kill you. We had rehearsed this over and over and over again, and special effects has told us that once they set this charge, there is no stopping it. It's going.
It was an adrenaline rush. The most awesome visual I had was the blackness of the water starting to turn a fiery orange. It looked like the whole sea was coming alive with fire. It was the most spectacular visual thing I'd ever seen.
From his vantage point 300 feet away, Penny watches as his flammable cocktail ignites a series of 10 explosions.
We wanted it to go progressively because it supposedly starts in the engine room and works its way through. We put a lot of what are called firework gerbs, which are different chemical combinations. So like it was hitting a paint locker or hitting something else, and you'd have different colors of sparks going out or different flames.
On the pier, Dedrick and Brubaker are bombarded by flaming debris as they fight off the effects of the blast.
It wasn't the heat as much as it was the concussion. The concussion was so severe that it almost knocked me out because blast after blast after blast was making the air so dense and going into our ears.
You feel this in your body. You feel the concussion of this thing wanting to urge you forward.
Adding to the challenge, the run to the end of the pier must be precisely timed.
At 8.8 seconds, the last and final explosion was going off. If we were a second late, it wouldn't have been a spectacular shot. And it worked out perfect. And it was nice hitting the water and being able to feel it.
The exhilaration of the moment was captured in a photograph taken by Jeff Bridges.
He took a photo of us just after the explosion.
Vince and I are very happy because we're in one piece, and it looked great on camera.
Whether it's witnessed live or on film, a Hollywood mega blast provokes a strong response. As their creators know, safely viewing such destructive power can be invigorating.
It's a very visceral thing that you respond to that explosion. And it's, my God, how could someone survive? But gosh darn it, the hero comes out of it. And just visually, they are quite beautiful.
Still ahead, a Texas-sized fireball. And setting the stage for Armageddon.
Ultimate Special Effects is sponsored in part by Pentax Corporation. Aren't your pictures worth a Pentax? And by KBKids.com. We get toys.
We're on a deadly snake hunt today with my Pentax IQ Zoom 160. Pentax has the longest compact zooms in the world, so I can keep a safe distance away and still get a tight shot. Oh, too close. You're a little bit grumpy. I could die taking this picture, but my Pentax is impervious to the bite. Oh, now there's a gorgeous girl. Aren't your pictures worth a Pentax?
In creating the new KBKids.com, we went to the experts. They know what's hot. Now you can too. They know exactly what's right for them. You can too. In fact, with KBKids.com, you can be almost as smart about toys as they are.
Hey, come on!
Only hopefully a lot neater. KBKids.com. We get toys. Now find the hottest Pokemon stuff at KBKids.com.
Hi, I'm Pat Seashore, and I'm an engineer for Mercury. That's Scott, my husband.
She comes up to about here on me.
He's 6'1", and he's also very large. So he sits in a car a lot differently than I do. For the new 2000 Mercury Sable, we put adjustable foot pedals in the car. The pedals work by coming toward the driver 3 inches and down about a ½ inch. I can sit further back and be more comfortable. Nowadays, we have a lot of freedom at Mercury to look for new ideas and make them happen.
My driving test kind of got off to a bad start.
On calls like this, you want to talk a while. That's why it's always a good idea to dial 10-10-321.
Well, I thought I was in first.
With 10-10-321, you save 50% on calls over 10 minutes. But that's just 8 cents a minute, day or night.
I was supposed to turn on the blinker.
And no monthly fees. And that 50% off, you can go on and on and on.
So finally, I pull out of the parking space.
Talk as long as you want with 10-10-321.
Wouldn't life be different without the computer? One of the 100 greatest achievements of the 20th century.
That's page 1.
Check out TLC for Countdown 100, starting Sunday at 9.
If love is your question, Psychic Talk has your answer.
Congratulations. You recently got engaged?
Wow. I just got engaged 2 weeks ago.
Well, you better hope she doesn't find out that you spent last Sunday night with your old girlfriend.
Oh, hello? He hung up. I guess you really ran him. Does your boyfriend know you have another guy and you're getting ready to dump him?
He has no clue. I can hardly believe you know it.
Well, you better be careful, honey.
Why?
I see that you could be the one getting dumped.
By which guy?
Both.
You've been fooling around on your boyfriend.
Well, yeah, I have.
And now you don't know which guy you want.
Right. I want them both.
Well, I'm going to make your choice a lot easier. The guy you're cheating with is married.
He's married?
We all have questions about love. Why not get the answers you need right now with a free psychic reading?
Call 1-800-500-6332.
A NASA space shuttle becomes the target for a lethal invader. This devastating moment is just an omen of a much worse disaster. A giant asteroid the size of Texas is bearing down on planet Earth. That's the threat posed in Armageddon, the 1998 blockbuster directed by Michael Bay.
In there, let's go! The story of Armageddon is basically, it is a story of a global killer coming towards Earth. And what would the world do?
In the movie, the challenge of preventing Earth's annihilation is taken up by a team of oil drillers led by Bruce Willis. But for the team of filmmakers led by Bay, The challenge is to create a vision of destruction worthy of the film's title. To do this, they would conceive a series of mega blasts, each causing greater damage than the last. That audiences enjoy such cataclysmic events doesn't surprise the film's producer, Jerry Bruckheimer.
Well, I think we all have nightmares, and we all have fantasies of destructive things, because anytime you turn on the news, you're going to see something that's kind of horrific. Unfortunately, bad news travels a lot quicker than good news. So when we, as filmmakers, show you that in a dramatic situation where you get to learn about the characters and you fall in love with the characters, that's even more frightening.
Many destructive moments for this larger-than-life story were filmed on huge sets, including this giant stage housing the asteroid's surface.
Pipe! Pipe! Boom! 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 We're right there.
Physical effects supervisor John Frazier oversaw explosive moments involving full-size props. But to reach the asteroid, the heroes must survive a rocky ride through space. Images that were created with the help of computers. To oversee the numerous digital shots, Bay enlisted 2 visual effects supervisors, Pat McClung and Richard Hoover. One of their biggest challenges was to create the movie's villain, the asteroid itself, a task that fell to Hoover and his team at DreamQuest Images.
Michael Bay didn't want the typical potato with holes in it flying at Earth. He wanted something that looked mean when it was just sitting there, looked like it was going fast when it wasn't moving at all. So we began with models, something tactile that you could hold in your hand. We had artists in our model shop carve in very fine foam these shapes. We came up with this sort of gothic, spiky-looking rock formation.
An equally important component was generating a vision of space that was realistic, awesome, and menacing.
We did a lot of homework to come up with the look of space. We wanted to do something that was different. Michael was really intrigued with the Hubble telescope photos that showed Eagle Nebula exploding and had a lot of color and effervescent quality to the look. We wanted to take advantage of that.
To achieve this, DreamQuest sought to reproduce the cosmic gases revealed in the Hubble images.
You know, we need to do things that look like if you put a cigarette in an ashtray in a quiet room and it spirals up, and then if the wind hits it, it all comes apart. There wasn't any software available that did exactly that, so we had to write our own. And that took almost 7-8 months of writing to come up with something that would do those kinds of things and produce that sort of effervescent color.
Footage of the asteroid model is then combined with digitally created images.
One of the shots of the shuttle going into the asteroid with rocks going by and gases could easily have 100 layers of images.
While the DreamQuest unit concentrates on shots featuring the asteroid, Pat McClung oversees other animation teams to ensure every blast delivers the maximum impact that Michael Bay wants.
Michael had a very distinctive look he was after, so we would go through just literally bit by bit, sometimes flying debris. You know, he would like to speed up the rotation of the debris, reposition it going off to the left and in very specific sort of direction.
En route to the asteroid, the heroes stop to refuel at a Russian space station, a situation that quickly deteriorates.
The Russian space station was based on the Mir, but actually it's about twice as long. Michael wanted to extend it really to give a little more drama to the end of the Russian space station.
Go back to the other team! Switch on the personnel locators.
For this sequence, McClung's team uses 2 models of the space station. An 8-foot model is filmed on a soundstage for close-up shots.
We built a larger scale, non-detailed miniature that we shot outside for the actual explosion.
The 2 models are blended into a single image to create the powerful blast. While the heroes struggle in space, the Earth continues to be bombarded by meteorites. Shanghai takes a direct hit. But late in production, Bay and Bruckheimer decide another city needs to be struck to further underscore the asteroid's impending doom. They choose Paris to be the victim of a spectacular demise.
And what I've never seen is a wave made out of dirt. And so that was the idea that we started working on, that this asteroid, when it hits Earth, creates this enormous wave of dirt and dust, which kind of destroys Paris.
9/10 of that shot is the explosion itself. And it was done in a very unique way, but it took Hoyt Yateman, another visual effects supervisor here at DreamQuest, sort of pushing the technology of triggering pyro to create a constant volume of material in the air to make this wave.
To create the shot, Yateman's team first builds a 100-foot wide steel pad at a rock quarry outside of Los Angeles. Pyrotechnician Richard Helmer oversees the placement of 6,000 feet of primacord rope explosive. To create the tidal waves, the cords are covered by tons of loose dirt.
It was done with primacord in radiating circles about a foot apart, where the charges are controlled by a computer, so that when this charge went off, this one's going off right after, this one's going right after it, to create the illusion of this wave.
To complete the shot, DreamQuest model makers carve a series of foam gargoyles. Yateman and his team then move inside to film the foreground elements of the blast. A camera tracks toward the gargoyles positioned in front of air cannons that shoot out debris. Satellite photographs of Paris are used to create a digital painting of the city. Other animators create a collapsing Eiffel Tower and a digital shockwave. All the elements are then combined or composited into a single devastating image. The whole world faces a similar fate unless the asteroid is stopped. Willis and his team of drillers proceed to plant an atomic bomb to destroy the giant rock. To create this ultimate mega blast, Hoover and his team go to work.
We built a model landscape of the asteroid's surface, again carved out of foam, only a much larger scale, about 80 feet long and 25 feet wide.
A motion control camera is then positioned above the asteroid model.
We created a move over that landscape and put, I think it was about 60 or 65 small pyro charges of different kinds, tinted with different chemicals to make different colors. If you watch the explosion, some are blue, some are red, some are yellow. We had little thin pans of sand and glass beads shoot up as a sheet, so it looked like water vapor being released through a crevice. All that went on milliseconds apart, boom, 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 as the camera was pulling back.
Now the filmmakers must generate the illusion that the atomic detonation instigates an even larger mega blast that will rip the asteroid apart but leave the Earth untouched.
So it had to sort of split like cutting a diamond in half, but yet be visually spectacular, something no one's seen before. And one of the artists here saw again another Hubble telescope photo of a star dividing or exploding, and it was actually two hemispheres that were split in the middle, and that's what he made.
The combined effect of these spectacular shots is intended to give the audience more than just a momentary rush.
What I think the strength of Armageddon is, it's an action movie, it's an exciting movie, but it's a really emotional movie as well.
And the emotions produced by an apocalyptic mega blast may be just what the audience needs to experience.
A lot of times you just want to get away and go to a different place, just be taken to a different time or place, or go into outer space. And there's nothing like big explosions at the end of the day.
Still ahead, Jean-Claude Van Damme survives an explosion. And Will Smith escapes an implosion.
I like to sit in traffic. I always look at it as an opportunity to talk to the person next to you. But other people don't see it that way. Lighten up. Just lighten up. You know, we're all stuck in this world together. Make it happy, you know. I don't mind sitting in traffic as long as I get Chevron with Techron. I feel great no matter where I am.
Make your car feel great. Use Chevron with Techron.
It's a party. It's like a tailgate party.
not the DVD player.
All right, I've had a big night. We can work this out. Chateau Saint-Pierre-Valjean, 1960.
What else you got?
Diamond-encrusted platinum cigarette case.
Where'd you steal that?
9C.
The Abernathy's, it's fake. What are you driving?
The yellow Lamborghini on the corner.
You should go.
Rare stamps?
Get out.
Sony DVD, your most prized possession. Part of the Sony home entertainment universe.
Integrity is the foundation. Humanity is the stone. Compassion is the mortar. Strength is the steel. These are the values that build this company. These are the values behind the products we offer and the services we provide. For more than 150 years, these are the values that have made New York Life the company you keep.
Hi, I'm Pat Seashore, and I'm an engineer for Mercury. That's Scott, my husband.
She comes up to about here on me.
He's 6'1", and he's also very large. So he sits in a car a lot differently than I do. For the new 2000 Mercury Sable, we put adjustable foot pedals in the car. The pedals work by coming toward the driver 3 inches and down about a ½ inch. I can sit further back and be more comfortable. Nowadays, we have a lot of freedom at Mercury to look for new ideas and make them happen.
Go to TLC.com for a chance to win a 35mm camera. Enter your vote on the top 10 achievements of the 20th century. Then, watch Countdown 100 Sunday. Monday night on Paramedics, Portland's EMS confronts a mysterious seizure, a trapped crash victim, and a man fighting for life. And this is just the beginning. It's non-stop action on an all-new Paramedics. Monday at 8 on TLC.
Across the globe, the most popular films feature stars whose actions need no translation. Few stars' moves are more to the point than Jean-Claude Van Damme's, who makes a second appearance as Luke Devereaux in Universal Soldier: The Return. This time around, Van Damme battles a new, stronger version of the soldiers, including one fierce warrior played by pro wrestling superstar Bill Goldberg. The indestructible soldiers are controlled by Seth, a supercomputer who evolves and takes human form in the body of Michael Jai White.
Action.
It's an incendiary situation. And that's exactly to the star's liking.
That's cut.
Universal Soldier has lots of action, physical action. We have lots of explosion. And when it starts to go, when Seth, the brain, start to move and to become a soldier, then it's nonstop.
The non-stop action is overseen by Mick Rogers, making his directorial debut after a long career as stunt coordinator and second unit director on Braveheart and the Lethal Weapon movies.
The fights that we're having here, they're going to be great because Jean-Claude's a great martial artist and Michael J. White's a great martial artist. They're going to be great.
Back in 1991, the original Universal Soldier film set an explosive precedent. One mega blast destroyed a remote gas station in the Mojave Desert. For this sequence, pyrotechnician Kit West utilized 85 gallons of gasoline and several hundred feet of primacord to blast the structure to pieces.
Be a series of 3 explosions, very quickly, all in the same shot. Boom, boom, boom. Thank you!
Now the filmmaking team for the sequel seeks to create a movie that's just as powerful. And the mega blast they're planning must detonate in a most unlikely setting. Much of the movie was filmed at the former superconducting Super Collider testing facility in Waxahachie, Texas. This expensive U.S. government research center has sat empty since it was shut down by budget cuts in 1993. It proved an ideal movie set for producer Craig Baumgarten.
We were doing a movie that took place largely at a facility that was a secretive military weapons research facility. Here we had this big, huge research facility, so it was perfect on the exterior, and on the interior, it had huge, wide open spaces.
It was a tremendous facility, all modern buildings, gorgeous for us for our movie filming. Only problem is, at the end of our storyline, we're supposed to destroy all the buildings. We would not have been allowed to do that. Government wouldn't have been happy with us.
Veteran special effects coordinator Joey DiGaetano is charged with creating the film's Mega Blast.
We decided on doing a major explosion that would create a wall of fire to obscure the buildings, so that when you saw this go off, you would literally think everything was destroyed, the buildings would disappear.
To produce this effect, Joey was inspired by one of the most awesome fireballs in film history. A half-mile-long napalm bombing run ignited for the film Apocalypse Now. This signature scene was created for director Francis Ford Coppola by two legends of the effects industry, A.D. Flowers and Joe Lombardi. Lombardi was not only Joey's mentor, he was also his uncle.
For Apocalypse, my uncle basically constructed a pipeline, connected it all together, and it was a half a mile long, filled it with gas. Once it was filled, capped everything off, and then you were able to set off the explosion.
The Apocalypse crew had the luxury of a remote location in the Philippines they could close off for weeks.
I was not able to do that for Universal Soldier because I was not going to be able to shut down the access roads into the complex.
Instead of installing a solid pipeline, Joey and his team pre-rigged a series of 20-foot sections of PVC pipe that could be quickly assembled a few hours before the blast.
Primer cord is attached to the PVC pipes. Inside the pipes would be gasoline. The primer cord will be positioned so that it's on the bottom of the pipe. That way, when it shatters the pipe, it will atomize the gas, throwing it up into the air.
The night of the blast, Joey and his pyro team carefully assembled 20 sections of pipe to form a 400-foot run in front of the Super Collider building. Every connection is double-checked, for there can be no mistakes.
You have to constantly have a chill go up your back when you're getting ready to do something like this. Because if something was to go wrong, you're talking people's lives.
The film team has positioned 7 cameras to capture this shot.
You're scared as hell before it goes off. You're scared as to whether or not it'll work and whether or not it'll work visually, which are two separate things.
With the pipeline ready and cameras rolling, Van Damme's stunt double Lance Gilbert moves into the shot.
One of our stuntmen was starting right next to where the pipeline was. I had to watch him until he got to a safe mark in front of camera so that I could set it off where you could still see him in close proximity to the explosion, yet him not get hurt.
The 200-foot tall curtain of fire hides the untouched Super Collider building. But the work to complete the scene is just beginning. The footage, or dailies, from the 7 cameras are turned over to editor Peck Pryor. Pryor reviews each frame of the footage in order to construct a sequence that will sell the illusion that the buildings are destroyed.
I want to feel the power of the explosions, and I want it to be bigger than it really was when they just shot it as one shot. You can see that the big white explosion totally engulfs the whole front of the building. And I want to see the building after the explosion goes off, so I'll have to be out of this shot at least before there. Here's another angle. It kind of fills up the frame with flame and smoke and debris. Boom, and he'll blow away. And I'll use some part. I like him falling over. I'll probably make it dramatic by going from close, wider, wide. And then maybe back close again, then wide again, using all 7 camera angles.
In the final edited sequence, 12 cuts are used to construct the film's Mega Blast. It's a dynamic moment that reflects the personality of its creators.
I really love doing it. It's a challenge every day. You don't know what they're going to hit you with. They're going to come up with something that defies the laws of gravity and physics, and that's what you're going to be asked to do that day. You're literally a film magician, and that is fun.
Coming up, the masters of miniatures and full-scale demolitions.
At KBKids.com, you'll get toys you can't find anywhere else. Like the new Toy Story 2 interactive talking train set. with Buzz, Woody, Jesse, and the evil Zurg.
To infinity and beyond!
And while kids will make it, this season's Gotta Have Toy, at least you won't have to wait in line to get it. Just click here. The Toy Story 2 Interactive Talking Train Set. Hurry. Available online only at kbkids.com. We get toys.
We're on a wild crocodile hunt today with my Pentax IQ Zoom 105 WR. Whoa, here she comes. This mate's not afraid of croc-infested waters. Steady, mate. Oh, whoa, right. No worries if you drop her in the mud, just rinse her off. Zooming in for a beauty shot now. Oh, that's a pretty smile. Aren't your pictures worth a Pentax?
Log on to dsports.com, the ultimate online sporting goods store. dsports.com. Seize the D.
Hi, I'm Pat Seashore, and I'm an engineer for Mercury. That's Scott, my husband.
She comes up to about here on me.
He's 6'1", and he's also very large. So he sits in a car a lot differently than I do. For the new 2000 Mercury Sable, we put adjustable foot pedals in the car. The pedals work by coming toward the driver 3 inches and down about a ½ an inch. I can sit further back and be more comfortable. Nowadays, we have a lot of freedom at Mercury to look for new ideas and make them happen.
TLC goes to Hollywood.
We'll check out my favorite Hollywood locations.
The glitz.
I can talk to gang members and winos.
The glamour.
You're under arrest.
The stars.
This was a talk show, I'd be bombing right now, wouldn't I?
What a great place to be a cop.
We're here to take care of business, man. We gotta kick the door and we kick it in, okay?
TLC patrols the streets with the men and women that keep the peace in Tinseltown.
Los Angeles Police Department, the house is surrounded. Come out with your hands up.
Hollywood Cops, Monday beginning at 9 on TLC.
If love is your question, Psychic Talk has your answer.
Congratulations. You recently got engaged?
Wow. I just got engaged 2 weeks ago.
Well, you better hope she doesn't find out that you spent last Sunday night with your old girlfriend.
Oh, hello? He hung up. I guess you really ran him. Does your boyfriend know you have another guy and you're getting ready to dump him?
He has no clue. I can hardly believe you know it.
Well, you better be careful, honey.
Why?
I see that you could be the one getting dumped.
By which guy?
Both.
You've been fooling around on your boyfriend.
Well, yeah, I have.
And now you don't know which guy you want.
Right. I want them both.
Well, I'm going to make your choice a lot easier. The guy you're cheating with is married.
He's married?
We all have questions about love. Why not get the answers you need right now with a free psychic reading?
Call 1-800-500-6332.
A 50-foot vessel is carefully maneuvered and launched by a giant crane. But this ship is destined to meet a watery grave. That's the task for the filmmakers of Virus. In this sci-fi thriller, an alien entity takes control of a Russian research vessel and kills its crew.
Tonight we're going to destroy this ship. We're mad at the ship, we're mad at what it's got on it, and we're going to kill it. And hopefully vaporize it.
Director John Bruno won an Academy Award for supervising the visual effects on The Abyss. A model boat built for that project will be blown up as the Virus vessel. Effects filmmakers often use models and miniatures to create shots that are too expensive or dangerous to do full scale. But as in this case, the term miniature can be misleading.
I'm into large-scale miniatures, shooting them as much in camera as possible. The bigger you can make your model, the more realistic it's going to look in water.
Using explosives to blow up models is known as mini pyro. It's a technique Hollywood has refined and perfected over the years. Two early masters were brothers Howard and Theodore Lydecker, who made hundreds of films during the 1930s and 40s.
The Lydecker brothers, they made quite large models, large bridges, large airplanes, large boats, because of the ability to try and fool the audience.
To help him fool his audience with an explosive climax, Bruno has turned to Gene Warren Jr. of Fantasy 2 Effects to supervise the model shots.
Since a good portion of the movie is played out on this boat, it's kind of important that you really have it go out with a bang.
The steel frame aluminum-sided boat has been pre-cut to help it break apart and sink. But the initial challenge for this shot wasn't in preparing the boat. First, Warren had to build a water tank that could handle a vessel of this size. Hollywood has traditionally filmed boat scenes in pools known as dump tanks. Most can't produce ocean-sized waves. To remedy that situation, Warren built a more versatile 100-square-foot dump tank. A 36-foot tower on one side holds up to 90,000 gallons of water. When the water is released, the force will pummel the Volkov with a 4-foot wave. Then the boat will be blasted with explosives made by mini pyro specialist Joe Viscoso.
It's going to be rather big. This is going to be one of the biggest miniatures that we've blown up in Hollywood in some time.
The shot calls for a series of explosions building up to a nuclear-sized blast.
When you're done with the gas inside, the beer hats go inside.
Unit leader Robert Hutchins leads the pyro crew in a step-by-step review before they return to the boat and secure the charges. The tower is filled and ready to generate a tidal wave. Giant fans add a foggy mist. The pyro team stands by the firing board, ready to push the button. The cameras roll. Keeping a watchful eye, Warren cues the first wave. The first set of explosions creates a powerful fireball. As flames spread along the deck, the cameras keep rolling. The pyro team then readies to trigger the final knockout blast. The crew aims water hoses at the vessel to extinguish a few of the flames, allowing a clean shot as the Volkov sinks into the sea. The result is a powerful climactic moment, a perfectly scaled explosion to destroy the ship. It's another mini mega blast for Viscoso, whose career has included blowing up everything from Madison Square Garden in Godzilla to the White House in Independence Day. But not all assignments call for fireballs. And the smallest explosions are often the toughest. This time, Joe and his team are out to recreate a series of naval battles from the American Civil War. Director Brick Price is staging the reenactments for a new ride film attraction at Georgia's Port Columbus Civil War Naval Center.
To create the battle sequences, what we're doing is building large-scale models of each of the vessels. We're doing an ironclad, and we're doing a side steam wheeler, and we're shooting them at Lake Casitas, which is north of Los Angeles.
The Naval Museum not only requires the models be historically accurate, so must the explosives being loaded into them.
The detail of these ships have to be absolutely authentic, and therefore I have to make the pyro exactly the way it was at the Civil War. We've got cannon fires going, we've got tracer rockets, a great many things happening in one scene.
Kind of like what you do in a football game?
To handle the logistical challenges of filming on water, Brick carefully plots out each battle sequence with Viscoso and cinematographer Dean Cundy. The director of photography for the Back to the Future films, Cundy uses time-honored techniques to make the models look realistic.
One of the things we do is we over-crank the camera. We film at a higher frame rate, more frames per second. We're shooting 72 frames per second instead of 24. And then when that's shown at regular speed, it slows it down. It becomes slow motion, which is one of the things that gives more sort of substance and weight to a miniature, makes it look more real.
Viscoso's pyro crew loads the vessels with historically accurate explosives.
The basic cannon fire is a black powder type of thing. In those days, they didn't have a lot of exotic type pyrotechnic effects. Basic fires and black powder guns and ball guns, things of that nature.
Public display fireworks called comets will color the shot with the red glare of rockets. Visual effects supervisor John Palmer oversees the models, including a 15-foot replica of a Union ironclad vessel called a Monitor. For this sequence, the camera will provide the point of view of a Southern ship being attacked by both the low-lying Monitor and a Union tall ship named the Hartford.
So what we're going to see, if you have the camera boat here, you're going to see our Monitor cross, boom, 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 and then the Hartford will come by, boom, 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 and then we'll make big circles, and we'll come in closer, and that's what we're going to try tonight.
The models move into formation in front of the camera boat. The Hartford tall ship carries an onboard pyro crew who will hide from view. The ironclad's cannons will be fired by Viscoso from his spot on the camera boat.
The timing aspect is very important, and one has to consider the people that are on the shore shooting off the rockets, the people that are on the boat shooting off the cannons, the smokestacks, the ambient smoke that's filtering the entire scene.
Just as it was in the actual battle, the scene quickly becomes hidden in smoke. But the smoke clears to reveal a series of spectacular shots. Moments lost in the past, captured for a new generation. Next, the masters of implosion technology take on Hollywood.
Take a position. Here we go.
Ultimate Special Effects is sponsored in part by Sony Vaio computers and digital handycam camcorders.
iLink to connect the Sony Digital 8 Handycam to the Vaio PC, anything is possible.
Vaio.
They have substance, integrity. They're the individual pieces that contribute to a greater good, making lives less worrisome, futures more secure. They are the agents of New York life. Their humanity is the stone with which this company was built. They are why New York life is the company you keep.
Hi, I'm Pat Seashore, and I'm an engineer for Mercury. That's Scott, my husband.
She comes up to about here on me.
He's 6'1", and he's also very large. So he sits in a car a lot differently than I do. For the new 2000 Mercury Sable, we put adjustable foot pedals in the car. The pedals work by coming toward the driver 3 inches and down about a ½ inch. I can sit further back and be more comfortable. Nowadays, we have a lot of freedom at Mercury to look for new ideas and make them happen.
Push the buttons on TLC. Check out crime-fighting gizmos, then watch 20-second missions of mercy. Feel the power of the greatest crime-fighting gadgets. Speed, Crash, Rescue. Friday starting at 8 on TLC.
Have you ever been curious about the 100 greatest achievements of the 20th century? Well, step aside, Dick Clark. TLC's got the real countdown. Countdown 100, a 2-hour special event, Sunday beginning at 9 on TLC.
Think the world will come to an end when the new millennium begins? Well, consider this. The moon's moving away from Earth 2 inches every year. Life vest, anyone? If the sun was a little closer, we'd be. But if it moved further back, we'd be. Want to know more? Don't miss the Cosmic Doubleheader If We Had No Moon and Savage Sun, Monday at 9 Eastern and Pacific on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world and your sun and your moon.
After 70 years of serving the city of Los Angeles, a 150,000 square foot water and power utility building is about to be retired from duty. But it won't be going quietly. 2 types of pyrotechnicians are on the scene: Hollywood special effects artists and the world's top demolition specialists. they're combining efforts to drop the building for a Sylvester Stallone movie, fittingly titled Demolition Man. The art of making buildings fall in on themselves is called implosion, a technique pioneered by Jacques Loiseau in the 1940s. By the time Hollywood came calling, watching imploding buildings had become a spectator sport.
I think people like implosions because they're frightened. It doesn't make sense, it's illogical, because buildings are there to work in and live in, right? How can they pour to the ground like sand out of a bottle? We are creating images and we're doing things that the mind, the conscious mind, really doesn't want to accept, and it's fascinating.
The two buildings over there are a problem.
Today, the Loiseau family business, CDI, or Controlled Demolition Incorporated, implodes structures around the globe.
We've taken down over 7,000 structures since we started back in 1947. We take down buildings, we take down bridges, we take down chimneys, radio towers, virtually anything that man has built, we can take apart. There are a lot of people who look at us and they kind of shake their heads and smile and say, you know, you have never done anything constructive in your entire history. And that's true. Everything falls down wherever we go. But in the film industry, we're getting a life out of the death. You're not just clearing the land for a new structure. You're getting benefit out of the demise of the older structure. You can make it special.
Among the filmmakers who have asked CDI to make something special is Tim Burton, who featured the implosion of this Las Vegas hotel in his movie Mars Attacks. But even after leveling 7,000 structures, some CDI projects pose challenges, such as the implosion requested for the thriller Enemy of the State. The movie stars Will Smith as a man on the run for his life.
I'm playing a D.C. area attorney who gets into a whole big mess, you know, with the National Security Agency. They think I have a piece of information that I don't know anything about, and they basically ruin my life. So what are we going to do? I'm leaving!
Smith's character hooks up with a surveillance expert played by Gene Hackman. But things quickly take an explosive turn. To throw their pursuers off the trail, director Tony Scott and producer Jerry Bruckheimer aim for Hackman's character to generate a mega blast.
Well, the character that Gene Hackman played is very secretive. And once he felt that he was compromised and the government knew where he was, he had to destroy everything that he was doing. So he had to destroy his apartment or his warehouse or his workplace.
Take that. When's the last time you contacted somebody you knew? When we stopped for food. Didn't I tell you not to use the telephone? I called from a payphone.
To find a building that would work as Hackman's warehouse, Bruckheimer called CDI.
They're the experts. I mean, they were the best, and you hire great people, they make you look good.
The Loiseaus locate a former soda pop factory in Baltimore to serve as the movie setting. But Mark and his daughter Stacy know their work is just beginning.
The effect for Enemy of the State was far and away the most complex and, in terms of quantities, the biggest effect we've ever done. We had hundreds of gallons of gasoline going off, hundreds of pounds of black powder, thousands of feet of detonating cord. The smallest quantity of any explosive we used was the actual dynamite to bring the building down.
The job is complicated by director Tony Scott's wish that the event not look like a typical implosion. To achieve this, the Loiseaus work closely with the film's special effects coordinator, Mike Menardis.
Tony's vision was to have a big explosion with a huge fireball. But his main concern was that the fireball didn't obscure the building when it was dropping.
To create a fast-burning fireball, Menardis' team will use a combination of black powder and gasoline bombs positioned in disposable mortars made from 55-gallon oil drums.
When the explosion goes off, it projects the fireball out as far as possible and lets it dissipate. So altogether we had like 500 mortars in the building on 6 floors, about 600 gallons of gas.
The effects crew rigs the building's windows to blow out a millisecond before the fireball. Just steps away, the CDI team prepares their explosives.
The big challenge for us is integrating those two systems. making them both work together. We can't have his pyrotechnics disrupting our Class A explosives, nor do we want our Class A explosives disrupting his pyrotechnics. And you only get one take. You can't put it back up.
Nitroglycerin-based dynamite is loaded into the columns. But the Loiseau's secret formula is to first plot the sequence of columns to trigger structural failure.
And then place the smallest amount of explosives possible to bring the structure to its knees. And it's gravity that does it, not explosives.
With the rigging ready, the pyro team makes one final check.
The morning of the shot, I remember standing on the ground floor and just looking around me and kind of getting this overwhelming realization that I'm standing in the middle of what's about to become a firestorm.
Clear out, take your positions. Here we go.
Outside, camera crews prepare to capture a team of stunt performers who will flee the exploding building. The shot even requires a train to run alongside the implosion.
Action, guys.
The shot is perfect. And the final sequence proves a showstopper. Once again, a mega blast proves to be riveting. If anyone understands our fascination, it's the people who bring down the house.
We kind of have a joke in here, you know, if you blast it, they will come. When you watch that massive structure in motion, it changes all the rules. And I think people are just flabbergasted by it. I think it scares them and thrills them and amazes them all at once.
They enjoy watching it because you can get in close proximity to an explosion sitting in an audience, and you feel like you're there. You feel that you're right in the middle of that heat and that danger of all that stuff blowing by you, and yet you're safe.
Each explosion has its own personality. I mean, quick, fast ones can be really deadly. And slow-moving fireballs with black smoke and orange and red can be spectacular and visual. Each one's kind of different in its own deal.
The methods of making a mega blast may differ, but it always comes down to the special effects team.
I think whatever we can dream up, they'll figure out a way to do. And what's so great about the technology is it's evolving. You know, every time we do another film, they can do more, and they can do it better and make it even look more real.
Real America on TLC. Adventures for your mind.
Push the buttons on TLC. Check out crime-fighting gizmos, then watch 20-second missions of mercy. Feel the power of the greatest crime-fighting gadgets. Speed, crash, rescue. Friday starting at 8 on TLC.
Gentle, Donald, slowly. Okay, that's good.
How much you want for your pot? 500, 600.
Introducing Cozone.com, the place to find computer help and buy what's right for you.
Hey.
Hey yourself.
Cozone.com. We can help. Spend $500 and get a free digital camera while supplies last.
America's favorite Christmas gifts from America's favorite Christmas artist, Mannheim Steamroller. Now available this holiday season, a Mannheim Steamroller Christmas, a fresh air Christmas, Christmas in the air, Mannheim Steamroller Live, and the Christmas Angel. And new this year, a 25-year celebration of Mannheim Steamroller. For yourself and all your friends, give America's favorite Christmas gifts, Mannheim Steamroller. Available at Best Buy.
The Spot Lifter is Bissell's Wash It Down, Lift It Up, Get On With Your Life cordless deep cleaner. Life's messy. Clean it up.
Intrigue is now the first and only mid-size car with the precision control system. It gives you better control over the unexpected. Intrigue by Oldsmobile. Start something.
This is funny. You like it, Rain Jack. You are my favorite friend.
Here's something you'll never see.
Go, Rain Jack. Go, Rain Jack.
A kid and his favorite rain check.
What fun I'm having with my Rain Jack.
Why settle for a rain check when you can go to ToysRUs.com and get your kids what they really want this holiday season, like Super Rebound or Extreme Cycle. Order now through Saturday and get a battery pack, a $29.99 value for free. ToysRUs.com for hot deals on hot toys. Just point, click, play.
The most revealing network on television, TLC, Adventures for Your Mind.
Being a couch potato just wouldn't be the same without the television. One of the 100 greatest achievements of the 20th century. Check out TLC for Countdown 100, starting Sunday at 9.
If love is your question, Psychic Talk has your answer.
Congratulations. You recently got engaged?
Wow. I just got engaged 2 weeks ago.
Well, you better hope she doesn't find out that you spent last Sunday night with your old girlfriend.
Oh, hello? He hung up. I guess you really ran him. Does your boyfriend know you have another guy and you're getting ready to dump him?
He has no clue. I can hardly believe you know it.
Well, you better be careful, honey.
Why?
I see that you could be the one getting dumped.
By which guy?
Both.
You've been fooling around on your boyfriend.
Well, yeah, I have.
And now you don't know which guy you want.
Right. I want them both.
Well, I'm going to make your choice a lot easier. The guy you're cheating with is married.
He's married?
We all have questions about love. Why not get the answers you need right now with a free psychic reading?
Call 1-800-500-6332.
I learned a new song. I learned this. I learned to read.
Jet. Zip.
Introducing the Leap Pad from Leapfrog.
Stumbled
out of bed.
It brings books to life
Opened.
and teaches kids to read.
Utah.
And I learned the state.
And so much more.
And I learned music.
The Leap Pad from Leapfrog.
And I learned.
I will talk louder and say exactly what I feel. And whistle at all the cute boys in their pickups.
Savan pants. Soft, comfortable, stylish. So you'll look good no matter what happens.
I know that look. You're trying to decide which DVD player you should buy, aren't you? Based on your existing home theater system, be sure to get something with Dolby Digital decoding.
If learning about DVD players were this easy, you wouldn't need a place like 800.com. But it isn't. So you do.
Call me. I'll help you set it up.
800.com. Everything you always wanted from an electronics store and more.
Monday night on Paramedics, Portland's EMS confronts a mysterious seizure.
Just really moving a lot.
Okay, just relax. A trapped crash victim.
Right now, we got to get you out of this seat and onto that board.
And a man fighting to hold on.
How's his heart rate doing over there, guys?
With lives on the line, every decision is critical.
We're gonna have to shock him.
Meet the men and women who thrive on the rush of risk and rescue. It's non-stop action on an all-new Paramedics, Monday at 8 on TLC.